Okay, here we go again. Hello, everyone. This is Dr. Garrett Smith, the nutrition detective around these here YouTube parts, and I am still in northern Idaho visiting Kelsey, and we don't have the bandwidth to do video up here. We just have, not the greatest connection speed, so we can't do video, so we're not doing it. So that's all there is to it, so you can listen to my wonderful voice. Now, some of the stuff we're going to go over today is kind of pressing because some of you may have heard that in certain California counties, they are now reinstituting the mask requirements. We're not terribly bought into that, but what that means is there's probably some pattern, some trigger of bile dumping detox going around. We don't buy into the whole virus idea. However, there are, things that we all share in our exposures to, whether that's food or stress or EMF, which is what they would control if they were putting out something different in the EMF to trigger things. And then we start seeing lots of people in society start getting colds or what they call the flu. So I wanted to go over that because, first of all, I want to say to everybody out there that getting a cold or the flu, we want to make sure we have this properly understood. We do not. Okay, so here's what we don't want. Well, and you may be one of these people that I'm about to describe, and this is what we are trying to help you move out of. So there's two types of people who, quote unquote, never get sick. Okay. There's the people who are, let's say they are just so healthy and pristine and clean, and they're not exposed to stuff, and they have, let's say, low stress, and they're just, there's no reason that their body has to do. See, when you think of a cold and a flu, you want to think of it as an accelerated detox cycle. This is why your body is pushing out so much junk from your ears, from your eyes, from your sinuses, from, up your lungs. You're coughing out stuff. You're sweating and you smell. You've got bad breath that's coming out of your lungs. Like, it's your body. You may have loose bowels. It's coming out of you every single way it can. Your body is dumping tons of bile. It's leaking into your system. And eventually it stops. Whatever the trigger is, it slows down and it stops, and that's when you get better. Now, what a lot of people do is they think that being sick is a terribly bad sign. And so, kind of like my ex-wife, as soon as somebody gets sick, including herself, is she wants to shut it down. That is her entire goal. Is the concept is being sick is bad. Therefore, we shut down being sick as strongly and as quickly as possible. What does this get people? They get sicker and sicker and sicker over time because they are not doing these detox cycles. Okay? So, the two types of people who don't get sick are either the people who are very not toxic for whatever reasons, whatever combinations of reasons that they've gotten there with, or they are very, very sick and their body is not even beginning to do these detox cycles because it can't. It is so toxic that they don't do these bile dumps. You may know people like this. They often have autoimmune conditions. They often have had cancer or multiple episodes of cancer. Maybe they have cancer and autoimmune diseases. It's usually people who are quite sick, and they know it, but they'll often try to brag to people that, well, I never get sick. And you're like, when I talk to these people as a practitioner, I'm like, but you had breast cancer and you did chemo and radiation and all this. And they're like, yeah, and I never get sick anymore. And I'm like, oh. And in my head, I know that that's not a good sign. That back then, before toxic bile theory, I didn't know about the bile connection. And I just thought, wow, your system is too weak to even mount the, if you want to call it a defense, I don't call it a defense anymore, but too weak to even do these cleansing cycles. And yeah, they brag about this, but it's not a thing to brag about. And I would actually tell these people, even before we started working together, you know, on the first meeting, I will say, look, if you work with me long enough and we get you better, you will at some point start getting sick. And I need for you to know that this is a sign that we are making your system stronger and it's starting to get rid of the garbage that it's been storing up for so long. It's not a bad sign. You will be feeling better. You might have some colds or some flus, and this is a very good sign. And we need to just ride it out, maybe help facilitate it, as opposed to shutting it down, which is usually what people used to do. So we have a couple of things here. Elijah said he used to say that he never gets sick. Yeah. And so, Elijah, I know, is working on our stuff now. And then Mikey said, I know someone who brags about never getting sick. She's 30, has really bad joints and inflammation. So you see that, you guys, we all know these people. And they're, to their benefit, they're trying to be positive. In a certain way, they're trying to be positive. They're like, I never get sick. And they're trying to convince themselves that it's a good thing. And so there's nothing that wrong. I mean, it's just they don't understand. But what you'll see is you know, people who the progression would tend to be this: the people who shut things down. Like I saw a guy on Twitter the other day. He posted that he'd had this cold, that this whatever it is. I'm going to call it a cold. We know it's not a virus here. But whatever this cold is that's going around, for those of you who have had it, or you know kids who have had it, or you know people who have had it, from what it seems like to me, now that I'll admit this right now, I have a cold right now. You may hear it in my voice. Am I upset? No, I'm trying to get all this out. I actually know, with what I know in this work, is that after I'm done with this cold, I'm actually going to be healthier than when I started, because I did not suppress it. And this cold is like a rapid excreting of a ton of toxicity. So some people might be like, oh my gosh, you're a health guy and you got sick. I'm like, I was around my kids for weeks. My daughter does dance in school and she burns a candle at both ends. And I keep telling her to take better care of herself. And then she got sick first. And then my boy got it, and then I ended up getting it. And I'm just going, okay, well, whatever it is, however it got transferred, I don't need to argue about how these things are spread. Like, because nobody can tell me why, when one person yawns and somebody else sees it, that they want to yawn too. But then we could definitely say that there's nothing physical that's been transferred between us. So there's something. There may even be instinctual, like physiological responses, let's say, to, if somebody, let's say in your own little group of people, your own little tribe, you know, like yawns are contagious. And then think about this: when you see or hear or smell someone vomit, why does that make you nauseous? Why does that make some people vomit? You didn't eat any of their vomit. They didn't have to even be next to you. They could be in the other room. You just hear them throwing up, and then you want to throw up, or you have triggers in you making you want to throw up. There may be these, how do we put this? These like primordial, these like instinctual triggers in us that when one person starts detoxing, dumping bile, it could trigger something in us. It could be EMFs. It could be whatever. It could be, you know, if you're into, you know, there is such a thing as, you know, frequencies and resonant frequencies. And, you know, if you're really close to somebody and they're sick and their quote unquote vibration is a certain way, and you resonate with them, then if their frequency is sick, you resonate with them like tuning forks, and then you start having that same vibration, because that's, you know, you relate to them, you are connected to them in some way, if you know what I mean. So I'm not worried about arguing how these things spread. I am just interested in what can we do about it, and what can we do today. I wanted to go over vitamin C specifically in terms of potentially using it. So I want you to hear me very carefully here. Using it to shut down the bile dumping, to shut down detox. Okay. So yeah, I've seen, this thing going around is nasty. Both of my actually, one of my kids, my boy, had a day or two of pink eye from it. And we're just sitting there going, what? And then there was, I've heard about somebody who got meningitis symptoms from it and pink eye symptoms from it. And the person who got the meningitis symptoms, what we did was we decided to shut it down with vitamin C, because this person is in line with what we do here. And they said, I really don't want to go to the hospital and take antibiotics. And I said, okay, so we're going to dive right in and we're going to shut this down. Okay. We are going to shut it down. Elijah, we'll talk about using vitamin C and how much you can use. But we're going to talk about it so you'll understand if and when and how to use it after this. So anyway, so if you guys get what's going around, first of all, in the Love Your Liver program, if you haven't seen it, there is a what to do if I get sick course. So that has my basic things that I do. Oh, and actually, I didn't say this. One of the reasons I might have, quote unquote, gotten sick, we've talked about this before, like when people are working really hard. Let's say that you're a student and you're studying really hard and you're staying up late and you're doing things that aren't great for your health. Maybe you're even out there working out too much. Anybody who's pushing things too hard. This could be, work projects or whatever. I tend to be a fairly, if you want to say, I don't want to say tightly wound, but I have a lot of stuff on my plate. And between, work and the kids and my mom and dealing with all this stuff. And so all of a sudden I leave to come up here to visit Kelsey in Idaho. And we're outside of the city. And all of a sudden, I almost don't have anything to do. I'm not checking my phone. I'm not on the computer doing a bunch of work all day. And so all of a sudden if you want to call it, my stress hormones probably dropped quite a bit. And all of a sudden my body goes, oh, cool. We have this opportunity to detox. If we haven't been over it before, cortisol inhibits bile production. So does adrenaline. So if all of a sudden my stress went down a lot because I just wasn't doing my normal stuff, and I actually didn't work out for the first couple of days because I have my kids here and we were trying to do stuff and they're sick, and oh my gosh, it was just a little bit of a cluster. But that could have been why I took all the stress off of my system, and then I was able to do this cleansing, if you will. So did I end up doing vitamin C for this? No, I did not. But this other person who I'm telling you about, who got whatever is going around, I was talking to them online, and I said, we're gonna do this, and they were like all for it. Okay, so first, Joe, let me. I'm sharing the screen, Joe. So if you could show. Okay, so here is. I'm going to leave that highlight there. People say, how do you know that vitamin C slows detox and your detox system? So let me first show you this paper title. There we go. Influence of food commodities on hangover based on alcohol dehydrogenase and aldehyde dehydrogenase activities. Okay. So for those of you who don't know, one of the things I've connected in this whole toxic bile theory is that generally when you slow down ALDH, aldehyde dehydrogenase, you are slowing down bile production and bile dumping. So therefore, if colds and flus were from too much bile dumping, triggered however it happens, and you're leaking too much into your system and you're feeling bad because of it, and you wanted to shut it down. So you are shutting down, slowing down detox if you do this. It's not the end of the world. This is like something where you're like, I want to avoid escalating this medically. Like you've decided this is getting pretty rough. You know, like if somebody starts showing a stiff neck and meningitis symptoms, they're like, this is not good. And I really don't want to go to the hospital. And could I try something else? I don't mind if we shut down detox so I can avoid this expense and more drugs and all this stuff. Then we can do this. Naomi, we don't do olive leaf. It's polyphenols. It slows detox. That's olive leaf slows detox. I would much rather do something. Vitamin C, you guys, ascorbic acid or buffered vitamin C like sodium ascorbate or potassium ascorbate seems to be the least damaging in terms of the liver, and it seems to be the easiest thing for the body to reset from. That is why this is probably the only thing I'm going to talk about in terms of, but a lot of the things you see for colds, oil of oregano, polyphenols, olive leaf extract, polyphenols, elderberry, polyphenols. They're all polyphenols. What do polyphenols do? They slow down ALDH. That is in the research, plenty of places. So if we're going to, if the whole goal, if what the effects of them are, is to slow ALDH, we want to use the one that has the lowest, it's going to tend to cause the least issues, and it's cheap, and it's very easy to do. It just requires doing enough of it. So anyway, here is the paper, and so they tested all sorts of things, right? They looked at fruits, vegetables, cereals, pulses, that's beans, dairy products, spices, and other miscellaneous products, including ascorbic acid, cocoa sample, tea, coffee, egg yolk, and date samples. Okay. Now, we don't necessarily want to try to speed up ALDH, because speeding up ALDH generally means that you're taking in something toxic that the body increases ALDH to compensate for. So we don't necessarily want to do that. Christina, omega-3 fatty acids are polyunsaturated fatty acids, so it's different than polyphenols. But polyunsaturated fatty acids oxidize into malondialdehyde and 4-HNE, which is 4-hydroxynonenaldehyde. And both of those things are aldehydes, which means they use up your ALDH. And malondialdehyde, we actually have some research on malondialdehyde slowing ALDH. So the very enzyme that detoxes them, it slows down. So this is like why I tell people, like, the more toxic you are, the more you slow down detox. Toxins slow down detox. So they are different. But again, they both go into aldehydes. Like polyphenols slow down ALDH. PUFAs turn into aldehydes. And so does sugars over time. So we don't want to add more fats than we need, and we don't want to add more sugars than we need. So let's go back down. Let me go down and find where this was, and we'll just compare some of these. So I remember when I was first getting into the ALDH stuff, and I found this paper. Did I pass it? I might have passed it. Yep, I passed it. Sorry. Let's go back. This, yeah, okay, here it is. So table 3, this is dairy products. This is the random thing. So we got, okay, so this is the left category. The left is ADH, alcohol dehydrogenase. What percentage it slowed, well, or sped it up. So if it's negative, it slowed it down. And then we have ALDH activity. So when I say that vitamin C is the strongest thing we have to slow down detox, and this is why when people megadose vitamin C, their symptoms will go away, their detox symptoms will go away, because they slowed down their bile dumping. So they're not detoxing, their symptoms get better, but they're just storing more stuff in their liver. And I didn't get this paper today, but there's another paper showing that in mice, when they gave them mega doses of vitamin C, they got more fatty liver. So are you following me? You slow down detox, you have symptom improvements because the bile is not coming out of your liver and leaking into your system, but then your liver is forced to hold on to it. What is bile connected to? Fats. What are fat-soluble connections? Are fat-soluble toxins connected to? Fats. So if you stop making bile very well and you're taking mega doses of vitamin C for a long time, you end up with fatty liver, which is what that mouse study showed. Okay, so we have all these. Look at all. I mean, pepper and cloves. Like look at the spices. They're all slowing things down. Cinnamon, 61% slowed down ALDH. So let's just come down here because this is the highest one. Vitamin C right here. 88.77% slowed down ADH. 88.97 slowed down ALDH. This is, if you go through this whole paper, this is the highest numbers in the entire paper. Okay? So now imagine if you were to take grams and grams and grams of this in a day. You're going to, hold on, let me see if, you're going to slow down detox. Now, is this the end of the world? No. But that is what you're doing. So I just want people to, oh yeah, I got to get Joe the link. But that, so, okay, so how do I explain this? Well, I am explaining. I am explaining. But you can go through here and look at these things. And then like, oh, here's something cool. Coconut water. Hey, didn't really slow down ADH, but it sped up ALDH a little bit. Okay. I'm not too, that's kind of, I mean, all these things are going to affect these things. If you start looking at the higher the the antioxidants in something, you're going to see more slowing down. I mean, here, well, actually, nutmeg beat vitamin C right here. 97.9% slowed down. The more aldehydes that are in something, so when you think of things that are smelly, they're full of aldehydes, and they tend to slow ALDH. So let's get into how to use this. First, so like I said, as I was going through this little cold, and I've said before, you guys have heard me say this on the live streams before, that when I detox through my head, like my sinuses. I tend to be, like other people have issues elsewhere, I tend to be just a very phlegmy guy, like very easily. If I eat like I've said before, when I was 15, one of the first things I connected to how my eating changed how I felt was when I used to drink milk as a teen, because I wanted to be big and buff, right? I would be about halfway through a glass of milk before I noticed I was building up phlegm and mucus in my nose. So that was one of the very first connections I made, that what I ate affected how I felt, but it specifically affected phlegm. So I tend to be, if there were different types of people, I tend to be of the phlegmy type. So I just accept that. So when I got sick with this whatever this is going around, this pattern of detox, it's very phlegm heavy. Very phlegm heavy. So when I got it, I was, lots of phlegm. I did a little bit of that because I wanted to speed up oxidation. Speeding up oxidation speeds up detox. Now, let me give some examples of when to choose these things. So oxidizers speed up detox. They are like surrogate detox. They're not speeding up ALDH. They're acting like ADH and ALDH. They are oxidizing toxins, moving them through the detox steps. Okay. So my daughter, we were trying to get her better. My daughter had been, sick for a while. And she was just feeling really bad, and I wanted to help her. So we started trying. I just decided, okay, let's shut her down and get her feeling better so she can have a nice visit with us. And we started vitamin C, about 1 gram every hour. And she seemed to get worse. Do I know why? No. Does it matter why? No. Doc, it hurts when I do this. Well, then don't do that. So what we did was we observed and we saw that she was not getting better from this. And then she started getting better. And by the time she went home, she was doing quite a bit better. And then she got, if you guys aren't familiar with what a post-viral, this is called a post-viral rash. It is especially in kids, younger people, when they have what they call a virus, right? That's what everybody calls it. So I'm just calling it that so you understand what I'm talking about. So we're on the same page. But she got what's called a post-viral rash. She sent me a picture. She has this pink raised flat rash. And I'd seen it before. It's a childhood thing when they get sick. Oftentimes at the end of it, they'll get this little rash. So what did I tell her to do? I thought, well, okay, we are here at the end of this detox. That rash means we are in the final stages. So I told her to blend up about a cup of oats. She had Coach's oats, which are my favorite. So she had organic oats, rolled oats, and she blended them up real fine, and she put them in a bath, and she soaked in the bath. What does the oats do? Oats are soluble fiber. Soluble fiber soaks up toxins. She did that, and she sucked the toxins out of her skin. And then the next day, I never heard about the rash again because she was back in Arizona and I was still up in Idaho. So she did that, and so we accelerated the detox for her. She felt better, and then we sucked the toxins out through her skin via the oat bath. If you don't know about colloidal oatmeal baths or colloidal oat baths, yeah, it's a big thing for eczema. It's a big thing for skin conditions. You're just using soluble fiber on your skin. That's it, in the bath. So that worked for her. Now, on to the other story. The person who was getting the meningitis symptoms. And we decided we're going to shut this down. I would say, okay, so if you're going to pick, folks, if you're going to pick whether to shut it down or oxidize first. Try oxidizing first and see how that works. So this other person tried oxidizing first, was not getting better doing that, was probably getting worse. So we did, Doc, it hurts when I do this. Well, then don't do that. So we then put her on, we started with 2 grams an hour of vitamin C, buffered. So just so you know, if you want to buffer ascorbic acid, first you need to get non-GMO ascorbic acid. Or you can get buffered ascorbic acid, which is called ascorbate. Don't ask me about liposomal vitamin C. I don't use it. Those liposomes, if it's actually real liposomal vitamin C, it actually shoves that vitamin C much deeper in your liver. That's why it works faster, because it goes deeper in your liver. I don't want that. I don't want that at all. I don't trust it. I don't need it. It's also choline. It's phosphatidylcholine or lecithin. We know that lecithin here stores more vitamin A in your liver. You need lecithin to store toxins in your liver, so it may shut things down fast, but you're still going to be storing more stuff in your liver, more toxins that are floating around, which is part of why you're sick. I don't need to add more things to deal with later. So to buffer ascorbic acid, this is the general buffering approach. You use, if you're measuring with like a teaspoon or half teaspoon or whatever, you use equal parts of, let's say you're using baking soda, which is sodium bicarbonate, and ascorbic acid. You use equal parts. So if you're doing a half teaspoon of ascorbic acid, you're doing a half teaspoon of baking soda. Okay? Basically the same thing with potassium bicarbonate. If you're using potassium bicarbonate, some part of, half a teaspoon of ascorbic acid, half a teaspoon of potassium bicarbonate. It's a little different for magnesium carbonate, and it's definitely different for hydroxide. I'm not getting into those, but the thing you must know about buffering vitamin C is if you're going to be taking grams and grams of this, if you're using all baking soda, that's going to be a lot of salt depending upon how much you take, if you're using all potassium, this is probably a little more of an issue. If you're using all potassium bicarbonate, that's going to be quite a bit of potassium. That might be more than your system likes. So if you wanted to do, let's say, a half and half mix of sodium bicarbonate and potassium bicarbonate, and it would be, so let's say somebody did a half teaspoon of ascorbic acid, and then they did a quarter teaspoon of sodium bicarbonate and a quarter teaspoon of potassium bicarbonate, and that would buffer. It will fizz in the water, just like, niacin. When you buffer it too, it will fizz. It makes carbon dioxide in the water. And then it will have, a little bit of the mineral taste. The sodium and potassium are in there. You will taste them, but they're bound to the vitamin C now. Can you mix it with something like fruit juice if you're a sensitive person? If you're sensitive and you absolutely can't handle the taste of the buffered, can you just do ascorbic acid by itself? Let me just say this. Can you just do ascorbic acid by itself? Yes. If you want to buffer it so it's a little easier on your stomach and potentially your teeth, then you can buffer it. You can do it either way. I'd probably be too lazy to buffer it, and I'd probably just use it straight. But I don't plan on having to use it anytime soon. But I'm not saying if you need to use it, if you need it to shut it down, do that. What I'm absolutely saying is if you're doing the Love Your Liver program and you decide you don't feel good and you decide to incorporate high dose vitamin C every day, you're doing it wrong. You are not to shut down detox every day and then say you're doing the Love Your Liver program. If you push detox too hard and you start really feeling like crap and you're like, I need to get out of this, I can't figure out how to get out of this cycle, then you could do some. But it's not meant to be forever. Okay? So now what will happen as you take ascorbic acid or ascorbate buffered vitamin C enough? Once you've taken enough of it, you will either hit gurgly guts or you will hit diarrhea. Or you may hit gurgly guts and then hit diarrhea. You may kind of do both. If you hit diarrhea, you have gone over the best dose for you. Okay? This is called bowel tolerance. So most people know this, if you take enough magnesium orally, you will eventually get to the point of loose bowels. Okay? If you take enough vitamin C orally, you will eventually get to the point of loose bowels. I do not like people using vitamin C to help them poop because it shuts down your detox. And that's not really what we're after. We're not after helping you poop with an osmotic laxative effect at the same time shutting down your detox. That's not what we're after. So if you want to use something to help you poop, oral magnesium, yes. Vitamin C, no. Okay, so what we usually do is on the hour, you would take some amount of ascorbic acid or buffered vitamin C. If you tend to be the sensitive type, or you're a smaller person, or you have, let's say you're doing this for your kids or whatever, might start with 1 gram per hour. Okay, and that's 1 gram of the ascorbic acid, which I think is about 1/4 teaspoon of the powder, of the ascorbic acid powder. I don't know how much, if you have pre-buffered stuff, I don't know how much it is of that. You'd have to figure that out. So it might be 1 gram every hour, and you just do that while you're awake. And let's say you go through the first day and nothing improves. There's no gurgling. There's no diarrhea. Your symptoms maybe improve a little bit. Maybe they don't. Well, then the next morning when you wake up, you're on a new 24-hour clock, you could potentially bump it up to 2 grams an hour. Or you could do 1.5 grams. You could go up as slow as you wanted. I mean, this is something we're trying to figure out. What's the worst case scenario? Diarrhea. It doesn't continue for hours. If you stop taking the vitamin C when you get to diarrhea, Like you may have a couple episodes of it, but it's going to stop. Okay, so don't be afraid of the diarrhea. Now, if you're a person who knows that vitamin C doesn't feel good to you, whether or not you choose to do it when you're sick is up to you. You may have a completely different response to it when you're sick. So just be aware of that. But if you tend to be sensitive to it when you're well, like if you're one of my sensitive types, you know, if you start taking it when you're sick, you probably want to start slow. Okay. So, Mimu Chan says, belated happy birthday, Dr. Smith. Hope you had a great day with our loved ones. Yes, I did. Thank you for the birthday wishes. I am now 49. And yeah, I've never been sick on my birthday, so that was a little bit of a buzzkill. But I've already had a little birthday celebration with the kids and my family back in Tucson. And Kelsey and I are going to do something nice for our birthdays. We actually share a birthday. It's pretty cool. Pretty unique, I think. Anyway, so thank you for that. Let's see, where was I? If you don't want to do vitamin C, well, okay, so let me add this. If somebody, I think Elijah was saying he was doing a little bit of vitamin C to help his process. Here is the limit I put on if you wanted to do vitamin C on a regular basis, because maybe you don't believe me about a slowing detox, you're like, I just don't think Dr. Smith is right, and I'm going to take some. That's fine. You may slow your process. And I'm not saying this to you, Elijah. I'm saying this as a general thing. If somebody wanted to take vitamin C on a regular basis, I would say 100 milligrams or less per day. Okay? 100 milligrams or less per day if you're going to take it on a regular basis. If you wanted to do some vitamin C on a regular basis and you wanted to help chelate calcium, like dissolve calcium deposits and potentially chelate copper with it, I would probably just do the juice of a fresh lemon a day in water instead of doing a vitamin C supplement. And no, I'm not worried about the lemon juice being a little yellow. Just avoid the peel. Just avoid the lemon oil, avoid the pith, the white part. As much as you can, just juice the lemon into the water and drink it as you see fit. Okay? So I would much rather, if you're going to do some vitamin C on a daily basis, just do like the juice of a lemon a day. Could you do limes? Somebody will ask, can I do limes instead? That's fine. I do think there is something magical about lemons. So hold on one second. Okay. I'm back, sorry. Had to blow my nose and didn't want to do it right in the microphone. So that was vitamin C. Are there, well, if there's Joe, let me just hit on, before I move on topics, I'm just going to look through the chats and see if there's any like vitamin C specific questions about this. So think of it as we're doing it as related to quote unquote colds and flus and let me tell you the meningitis symptom person. So we moved on to high, if you want to call it high dose vitamin C. And this was buffered. And by the time this person they told me last night, by the time they got to 10 grams, most of the neck stiffness and this other stuff was almost totally gone. And so we knew what we were doing, and we just shut it down because that was the better decision at the time. So if for people who are kind of babies, and if they ever feel bad at all, they're going to try to shut it down all the time. Well, you're shutting down your detox, so you're not getting any toxins out. So you're going to just keep holding the toxins, and then your body's going to try to dump them, and then you're going to shut it down again. So if you're constantly like, this is what my ex-wife does, and this is what a lot of people do. They get sick, and they shut it down every time, and then they wonder why they keep getting sick. and why they have to start using more and more things to shut it down, like elderberries, like oil of oregano, like black seed oil, like ivermectin. That's what I was saying. There was a guy on Twitter who said, oh, the family's been sick for like 3 weeks with whatever this thing is that's going around. And he shows his bag of, I don't know if it was a powder or what, but it was a bag. And he said, so we took ivermectin, which slows down ALDH. This is in the research. And we took this powder, which said it was oil of oregano, which is carvacrol, which is polyphenols, and black seed oil. And it was gone within hours. So does that make sense that what they did, they just shut down the bile dumping? That's the only way they would have gotten better that fast. Ivermectin is really, really good at shutting down bile dumping. It's a pesticide. Don't fool yourself. It's a pesticide. It is related to abamectin, which is sold as a pesticide, ant baits, stuff like that. And pesticides are well known for slowing down ALDH, and ivermectin has specific research on it slowing down ALDH. Ivermectin, I believe, causes a lot more damage along the way than, let's say, vitamin C does. So, yeah, he's like, oh, we got better within a couple of hours. And I was like, oh, man, you just did it now. But, yeah, they're just taking a combination of a pesticide, and oil of oregano is also a pesticide, but it's polyphenols. And I haven't looked too much into what the compounds are in black seed oil, but if you smell black seed oil and it kind of reminds you of an auto mechanic shop, yeah, there's lots of nasty, toxic, stinky stuff in there. It's not, you don't have a deficiency of petroleum-like smelling compounds in your body. Okay? And when they say something can fix everything, that usually, and it's not an essential nutrient, that means it's shutting down detox. This is a very simple thing to know. Whenever you see something that says it's the cure for everything, but it's not an essential nutrient, like nobody has a black seed oil deficiency, it's shutting down detox. Okay? So, Joe, let me get into Telegram and see where, if Joe has posted some things for me. I'm sure he has. I'm just talking too much. Let me see. So I know there was some, so I just want to get to any vitamin C questions, and then we'll get to the super chats right away. Okay. Well, Baptized in Fire, if you wanted to try shutting down stuff a little bit, you were saying, you need the cash, you're working and you're having trouble with the detox, then yeah, you might experiment in and out with you could experiment with the vitamin C, see if you can knock yourself out of the cycle and then go back into it. Oh yeah, Bile said, my sister never got sick until she got bowel cancer, and then she started getting sick. So, yeah. Let me see. Let's see. I will get to Baptized in Fire. You're saying the vitamin C has been minimally helpful for you. So then this would be where, I don't know if you've taken the dose up pretty high or not yet, but if this is like we were talking about, you got to watch. If you're going to try to shut down detox, you have to watch and see, do things get better as you go higher? If they don't, then that may be a sign that you could use more help oxidizing, and that would be where you might get into the things of the 3-letter compound that shall not be named, or which is in the Love Your Liver program. We discussed that. Or things like ozonated products, or colloidal silver, or various applications of something like hydrogen peroxide. Yeah, so there are lots of things that can help with oxidation. I was about to just put a bunch of food grade drugstore hydrogen peroxide in a bath and just sit in that and let that kind of do its work, but I didn't feel I needed to at that point. Black Magic Masturbator says, what's your take on Flintstone multivitamin gummies? If it has the word multivitamin in it, it's trash. That's very simple. Let's see. Christina says vitamin C is said to improve iron absorption, which I take, and it has a very small amount of vitamin C. So is this also slowing detox? So Christina, we were saying like under the 100 milligrams on a regular basis is probably fine. And that actually showed in that mouse study where high doses reduced fatty liver, high doses of vitamin C, mega doses of vitamin C in the I forget if it was mice or rats, where it increased fatty liver. The low dose, so it was a very low dose, helped reduce fatty liver. So, but that's why we're keeping the low dose low. Like I think an apple has like 60 milligrams of vitamin C in it. So like if you're having an apple a day, you're getting that. But if you wanted to have like the juice of a lemon a day, that's fine too. Oh yeah, I can't believe I didn't mention this. Dylan, very good point. Could everyone be getting sick be related to the excess space weather? I've never seen the northern lights in my life, and I've already seen them 3 times this year. Oh my goodness, I can't believe I didn't mention this. For those of you who don't know, Space Weather Live is a free app. It is a free app that you can use it to look at space weather, or what I do is I just turn on all the notifications from it, so that anytime space weather comes through, it's pinging me with a notification. And then I just kind of nonchalantly look at the notifications and just kind of keep track of like, can I correlate when I feel bad with these things? This last week with the northern lights, I know a lot of people are saying, oh, it's just chemtrails and HARP and whatever. It doesn't matter. There was tons of stuff going on. There was like, within a 2-day period, there was 4 X flares. Do I know what's causing that? No. Am I going to postulate on what I think is causing it? No. But the space weather was crazy. The moon, those of you who look at the moon, like the moon is not even full right now, and it is so bright. There's actually like almost what we were looking at last night, and we're up here in northern Idaho, so there's not a lot of like crap in the sky. There's like a yellowish, almost brownish aura around the moon. It is so bright. So the moon is a form of space weather. Whether it's whether it's a flashlight up there or whatever, I don't know. It doesn't change anything that I'm doing. Does it affect people on Earth? Yeah. So the moon has been kind of wonky. The space weather's been kind of wonky. If they're doing stuff with, HARP and the hurricanes and whatever, I don't know. I got to see the northern lights a little bit the main night that it happened. I was surprised I couldn't see them better up here, but I had never seen the northern lights before, so I was kind of like, eh. They weren't that impressive when I saw them, but they were not. It was not a big show either. So, but yes, the space weather in the last couple weeks has been bonkers. We are in a solar maximum, which means that basically the sun is throwing a bunch of temper tantrums, and it does this for a while until we go back down into a solar minimum. So a couple of years ago was when we started the solar maximum. I forget how many years ago. I think it started during the COOF. So, but yes, very good point, Dylan. Thank you for bringing that up. I can't believe I forgot that. Yeah, and so if you're with the space weather, with whatever's going around, if old symptoms come back that you thought you were past when space weather acts up, it's just you're dumping toxic bile from like deep within your liver, a bunch of it at once, and you still had some of the stuff in there that caused some of those symptoms, and you're getting it out, but it's showing up as symptoms. So, let's see. Let me see. So we got the vitamin C. So yeah, so Christina, that's the answer about the vitamin C. Okay, Baptized in Fire says on work days I'm taking like 8 grams vitamin C or more and still eating over a cup or 2 of activated charcoal to catch all the bile. Yeah, so you could do the vitamin C and the charcoal. I don't think you'll really have to separate them that much. But yeah, you can up the, I mean, I used to take 8 grams a day before I knew about toxic bile theory and before I fixed my allergies. I used to take 8 grams a day to shut down my seasonal allergies. So if you can go higher than 8 grams baptized in fire without getting loose bowels, you can. The article that I talk about a lot from orthomolecular.org, where they talk about the 100-gram cold, where certain people, when they get just a cold, they can take 100 grams of vitamin C in a day without getting loose bowels. Like that's how much bile they're dumping, and that's how much it takes to shut them down. So if you're okay, so then people will ask, well, how do I come off the high doses? Because if you're not familiar with the thing called rebound scurvy is a known phenomenon. It's really hard to find on the internet these days, though. It's almost like it was removed from the internet. I don't know if you guys heard, but the Wayback Machine, the Internet Archive, was hacked just a short period before the election. And it's like they're going back and deleting website pages that were archived so that we can't find them anymore. It's just so weird that they would do that. What are they trying to hide? So rebound scurvy is when people take grams and grams. So baptized in fire, this would be important for you if you're going to take, like, baptized in fire, if you're going to take grams and grams a day for an extended period of time, you got to realize what you're doing, which I know you do, but you got to realize what you're doing. And then when you come off of it, okay, rebound scurvy is when people take typically multiple grams or more of vitamin C a day for an extended period of time. And they're using it usually to suppress symptoms, whether they know it or not. And then when they suddenly stop it, let's say they go on vacation or they run out of vitamin C, or they just decide, I don't want to do this anymore. Within a day or two, they get symptoms of scurvy, the bleeding gums and the skin stuff and other stuff like that. So how in the world could they get scurvy, vitamin C deficiency symptoms in a day or two when they've been taking grams and grams and grams for weeks to months to years? It's not scurvy. As I've been over in the live streams here, there's the scurvy live stream, if Joe wants to put that up. Vitamin C deficiency, what they call scurvy, is actually vitamin A toxicity. So what you did was the vitamin C that suppressed the bile dumping was yanked away, however it happened. This is why I know that vitamin C is less bad than the other things, is that within a day or two, your bile turns back on. You start dumping. So vitamin C is a very short-term slower of detox. That's one reason we like it. If we're gonna use it in this way. I have no one on vitamin C on a regular basis, just so y'all know. Like, I don't put people on vitamin C on a regular basis unless they're in my office hours, they're working with me or one of my practitioners, and I'm like, it's time to shut this down. That's when we do this. On a regular basis, no one, it is not on any treatment plans or supplement recommendations. It is not regularly given, even in that small amount, to anybody. So don't think I'm here trying to convince everybody to get on it. So then, yeah, you can just, so when you get off of it, what I did when I went off of the 8 grams a day for my allergies back in the day was I just went down by a gram a day. So 8 and then 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then I just jumped off of it. So if you kind of wean off of it, your body has time to adjust to that. But yeah, it goes away very quickly. Like the rebound scurvy does not hang around because your liver compensates and gets back to normal. But if you wanted to avoid that jumping off symptom that they call rebound scurvy, which is just dumping a whole bunch more bile again because it's been suppressed, that's what that is. So, okay. So I'm still looking. Black Magic asks, what's your personal favorite vitamin C source? I've had mine for a long time. I got it on Amazon. It was an 8-pound bucket because I got it kind of for like, I was thinking I wanted to have a lot of it for prepping purposes to have around if I needed, in the future to shut stuff down. It was non-GMO. I want to say it was from, maybe it was from tapioca. I don't know. It's a white bucket, not a full 5 pound or 5 gallon bucket, but it's like one of those smaller buckets. And it was a white bucket with a white and green and orange label. And it was on Amazon. I don't know. It was either tapioca or some other source. I'd make sure whatever you get for vitamin C, if they've broken it down to ascorbic acid, like it's just ascorbic acid, but we don't want GMO corn for the vitamin C. So just make sure it's non-GMO. I'm not too worried about the source other than that. And if people ask me, should I use Baobab or Baobab has tons of polyphenols in it, which does what it does. Polyphenols slow ALDH too, but I don't like polyphenols. So I'd rather just use pure. We're trying to get a drug effect out of the ascorbic acid. And we know we can control that dose very carefully. So, let me just say what Mikey said. I got some massive setback, worse in a year, and couldn't figure out what happened. Then I saw the northern lights were visible where I was near. The space weather, some people just laugh about space weather. They're like, you guys are crazy and space weather doesn't do anything. And I'm like, there's actual research on it. More hospitalizations, more heart attacks, more like psychological episodes with the moon, with space weather. Like it's in the research. And if one was to believe that a coronal mass ejection, like a CME from the sun, could wipe out all of the electrical stuff on the planet as an EMP does, why in the heck would you believe that it couldn't affect how we feel on a daily basis? Like that is the purest form of ignorance I could imagine. And most people know, if they actually pay any attention to when the full moon is or when the new moon is, that oftentimes they notice that they don't sleep well on a night or two around the full moon. And this is so easy to observe. So, yeah. Okay, so Baptized in Fire said thank you, as he was limiting himself out of fear, unsure of safety. Thank you so much. Yeah, it's totally safe. I mean, it's safe. It's just, use it for what it's. If you're going to use vitamin C, everybody, use it for what it is intended for. It is to slow things down, to shut things down for a temporary period of time so things can catch up. And the goal is to take the minimal effective dose. So you can hit the maximal dose. The maximal dose is the dose just below what would cause you loose bowels. Okay? So if 10 grams a day caused you loose bowels, but you could take 9. And if you want to shut things down as much as possible, then 9 would be the dose. Okay? Spreading it out. Also, the more you spread it out in the day, the less likely you are to get loose bowels. Like the bigger dose you could take without getting loose bowels. The more you spread things out, the less the dose that comes in at once, the less it shocks your system, so you can tend to take more. Okay? And then what you want to baptize in fire, what will usually happen is as you slow things down, as you shut things down, which again, normally people are going to think of as this is a negative thing, but we're using this as we are manipulating the system here. When we understand the system, we can then in theory master it in certain ways, and then we can manipulate it to our benefit. Okay. So over time, what we should see baptized in fire is that it would not be surprising that if you went up in dose and you shut things down and you stayed there for a little while and you were doing the good diet in general, and then you decide you might all of a sudden you figure out your dose. Let's just say for you, since you're saying you could take a lot, let's say it's 20 grams a day. And you're like 20 grams a day, no loose bowels, 21, 22 grams a day, gurgling loose bowels. Okay. So you're at 20 grams a day. And let's say you do that for a week. This is what can happen, people. So let's say 20 grams works for you for a week. And then all of a sudden, 20 grams is now, all of a sudden you get diarrhea from it. And you're like, wait, what happened? This is a good sign. Drop your dose by a gram or 2 till you're not at loose bowels anymore. And then over time, you may eventually get loose bowels at that dose, 18 grams. And then all of a sudden, then you drop again. And so this is your own internal sign saying, like, you can drop your dose. Or somebody might even say it's turning on you, which is not a bad thing. It's your body saying, I don't want to do this so much anymore, and I'm getting better, so let's not suppress these things anymore. So that's a very normal thing that can happen. So, and then, yeah, also just to remind everybody, these last weeks with the space weather has just been sucky. So anything you've been trying, let's say you've just been feeling bad and having old stuff come up. Like, do I know how to get people out of space weather? No, I don't. Like, it's the sun and the moon. Like, no supplement is going to be as strong as these giant balls in the sky, wherever they are and whatever they're doing. We can't overpower these fields. So we kind of have to ride it out. We can accelerate things with oxidizers. We can slow things down with things like antioxidants, like a vitamin C. Or you might find yourself when you feel bad. I want you to all think about this. Comfort foods. Think about your comfort foods when you were sick. And if you ate these comfort foods and you felt better, what do you think those, and these comfort foods, then you come to this program and you go, well, wait, none of my comfort foods are on the program. I want you to understand you can use this. I want you to understand how you can manipulate the system now that you understand toxic bile theory, which, if you haven't seen it, episodes 53 and 71, those are the basics of toxic bile theory. But when you understand toxic bile theory and you understand that your old comfort foods, when you started to feel bad, your body knew that you could shut down the bile production by eating things that were high, let's say, in fats or high in sugars, low in fiber, like processed foods. So you could increase these things that slowed down bile production in general, or manipulated bile production, and then you could feel better. So you can always, if you're feeling bad, not that I'm advising to do this, but if you know that there's certain comfort foods that work to help you feel better that you're not eating now, like, you can use that to manipulate your bile. I'm not saying it's going to be healthy, but you could. If you didn't have vitamin C around and you're like, oh, but I know if I go and I eat this, I know it's not on the diet, but I feel better, you can do that. We want to move away from that, of course, and only do the minimal amount that you need to get the effect. However, that is an option, okay? I'm just trying to hit the vitamin C stuff. Emma said, whoa, my sick food is bacon mac, like bacon mac and cheese. I'm assuming. Yeah, so like cheese, and maybe you're sensitive to flour or gluten, and then you got dairy in there, and you got bacon, and like you know this. Yeah, so this is how our bodies, because our body just says, I feel bad. What can I do to feel better? And then your body goes, oh, you could go eat this food. I know that when you eat this food, you quote unquote feel better. So your body knows how to shut these things down. But we are trying to be smarter than that. Like, think of the body is always in survival mode. I always joke that, like, if a dog, like, people are like, but natural health. And I'm like, animals wouldn't choose natural health. If you have a dog who has a hurt leg and you tell the dog, okay, dog, you can talk to the dog. Would you rather do 8 weeks of physical therapy that's going to be uncomfortable, and then you'll finally feel better after 8 weeks, or you can take this opiate pain medication that will help you feel better in 15 minutes, and you'll feel better for 6 hours, but then you'll have to do it all over again? The dog would, the natural thinking dog would still take the drug. Doing the things we're doing requires a higher level of intelligence. We are having to choose delayed gratification. Delayed gratification is absolutely a higher intelligence thing. Or what do they call it? A low time preference? I always get those confused. I don't worry about it too much, but I understand the concept. So let me just see. Let me hit this one, and then we will get to the super chats. You guys with the super chats, thank you very much for them. We are going to get to them. I just wanted to hit some of the vitamin C stuff. Where was it? Jennifer asked, do we stop taking nicotinic acid when going through illness? I did not. Okay, so here's something that you want to pay attention to. Kelsey didn't stop. Kelsey was taking her floosh, as she calls it, once a day, I believe. I actually noticed that when I took my flush, I felt better for like 2 or 3 hours. So I actually started doing 2 a day. So this is where, just like we talked about, like with my daughter, we tried the vitamin C thing first. She got worse. So then we went to the oxidizer. And then with Kelsey, she tried the oxidizer first. She felt worse. So then we went to the antioxidant and we slowed things down. So like I noticed that I felt better after taking my flush. Now the flush did have charcoal in it. So that may have been doing some of the work too, but I specifically felt better. And I stopped flushing like very quickly. I kind of missed some days, and then I flushed again. And then with, each time I did it twice a day after that, I flushed less and less each time, even though I was taking like, 2,500 milligrams. So anyway, so you want to see if it's helping you feel better or not. That would be the big thing. Okay, so let me just see. Let me find that orthomolecular article on what is it? 100 gram cold orthomolecular. Most of the time I don't use much from the orthomolecular.org website. But this article is one I keep coming back to. So let me post this. Wait, not that one. I wanted... some people have just reposted the article, and I want the original one since they did it first. Here, I'll share this. So Joe, if you want to share the screen. So if you search for like orthomolecular.org titrating to bowel tolerance, that's probably how you'll find it. This is this Vision Earth website, and they're just kind of reproducing some of the orthomolecular articles. I think this is the journal article about titrating to bowel tolerance. I can't find it on orthomolecular.org. But anyway, those 2 links, they're in the chat. So that is that. Hold on one more second. I'm being all snotty. Okay. And I always know, like, I don't know if you guys know your patterns when you get sick, but I started getting that little tightness in my chest, and I started coughing up and blowing up some colored things. And I know that that's actually, some people would freak out and they go, oh my gosh, that's an infection. And I go, no, that's actually the sign that I'm coming out of it. That's actually when I know that it's on its way out. So instead of going deeper into the medical field and more pharmaceuticals and whatever, I didn't do it. Funny little story. My kids get home to the ex-wife, and she had been sick, and she did the nasal swab for the coof, and she tells me, I've tested positive. We need to test the kids. And I say, kind of like I tell you guys here, I say, what's that going to change about what we do for them? Like, I'm not sending them to the pediatrician to go get an antibiotic, which ruins health, for a virus. And I don't tend to get into the viruses don't exist with her because it's just not worth it. It's like talking to a wall. But both of my kids, especially my boy, in a text to me, I posted on Twitter today, he said, I made it clear that I do not give consent to doing the nasal swab. And I was just like, that is my boy. That is my boy. So, okay, that's a good question. Okay, so let me get to. Oh, actually, let me address this. Okay, so Zendog and Baptized in Fire we're talking about. Okay, so first of all, yeah, if you're going to do vitamin C, get the powder. If you're going to do high doses, get the powder. The cost difference is insane. Like if you're buying capsules, if you need to buy capsules to take them to work or whatever, or you could just put the vitamin C powder in a bag and mix it with your buffers and then just mix it into some water, you could do that. But yeah, the powdered vitamin C is insanely cheaper compared to the pills. But I understand why some people buy pills. It's, convenience and stuff. So you could do both. You could take it in powder when you're at home. You could take pills with you to work. But let me just go over charcoal real quick. Because Baptized in Fire was taking quite a bit. Several cups a day, was it? Okay. I just need to make this clear for everybody so that the people who are atypical, and I don't mean that in a bad way, don't talk to the people who are typical in the wrong way. Okay, so in my estimation, 95% of people, when they take activated charcoal, if they take enough of it, they get constipated. Okay? That 5% of people, they have an atypical reaction to it, and they poop more, like they dump more bile when they take charcoal. Do I know why this happens? No, I have no idea. So this is one thing in medicine that people don't get about protocols. This is why we don't do protocols. Some people feel worse on activated charcoal because it really triggers a lot of bile dumping, and they're actually dumping more bile than they soak up with the charcoal. And that is why they poop more. And this is noted on the Charcoal Times or charcoalremedies.com website. They're like, some people are really lucky and they take charcoal and they poop better with it. But they said most people, have to work on not getting constipated. And that is absolutely my experience. So for those of you out there who feel worse on activated charcoal, it's probably triggering a lot of bile dumping in you, and you may need to take less or not take it if it dumps too much. Most people, like 95% of people, will, if they take enough charcoal, they get constipated and they might not poop for a day or two if they take too much charcoal. You folks, normal reactors, need to be careful about how much charcoal you take so you don't constipate yourself, and you may need to add something like oral magnesium to help you poop when you take it. And then there's other people who kind of have a moderate dose that they can take and it doesn't really affect their pooping either way, but they would tend towards constipation if they took too much. So just know, you folks out there who can take tons and tons and tons and tons of charcoal, don't talk to the people who can't do that like they should be you. They are different. You guys who can take tons and tons and tons of charcoal and still poop, you guys are the atypical ones. In a way, you're kind of lucky, but just don't force everyone. This goes for anything. Don't force everyone to fit into your box, because that's one thing. I had some people say, just take more and more lactoferrin. They're like, just jump in and just take one capsule or two capsules. And some of you people out there are hearing that, and you're like, oh my God, I took a pinch and it really kicked up detox. And I'm like, yeah. So the people who can jump in with lactoferrin, that's not everybody. That's usually men, and it's usually young men, and they just blow out these blockages and then they feel better. Okay, that's not everybody. That's definitely not a 65-year-old woman. Okay? Different people are different. So that's all. That was just saying to respect everybody's differences and observe your patterns and listen to your patterns. Don't listen to anybody else about your patterns. And if you're working with somebody who doesn't respect your patterns, like a practitioner, you may want to find a new practitioner. Okay. Okay, so Mikey, I want to find Mikey's. Oh, there he is. Okay, so Mikey, thank you for the super chats. I see you kind of put in a couple of them. Let me get to this question. Okay, what is the opinion on lysine? Seems to be positive for vitamin A detox, I believe. Good for detox. It also seems good for viruses / colds. Okay. Well, I haven't looked into lysine for colds and flus much. What I am familiar with it, I think I went over it last week a little bit, maybe. I haven't done a lot of research in terms of lysine and ALDH or ADH, but so here's what we know. Okay. And I'm going to go basically off of shingles and herpes virus research, or people's, I could say herpes, shingles, anecdotal findings in terms of when they do these certain things. So you'll look on the internet and you'll find that when people have herpes outbreaks or shingles outbreaks, the most common thing that is suggested for them to do, some of them do high vitamin C, right? Which is to shut down the bile dumping, which is the root cause of whatever flared up. So there will be the high vitamin C dosing. There may even be B12, which B12 I think is an antidote. I'll go over B12 someday. I'm not saying not to do it. If you feel better on it, you can use it. But if you need mega doses to feel better, you're toxic in some way that the B12 is antidote. Like, and if people need mega doses of methyl tetrahydrofolate or methylcobalamin, like if you need mega doses way more than you could ever get in food, the only explanation is that they are antidoting something in your system, because your entire bloodline would have died off before these supplements were invented by Merck if you needed these doses. So you're antidoting some sort of toxicity in yourself. And that's not bad. I mean, it's okay to antidote, right? If you're toxic, if you're poisoned, you want an antidote, but you want to figure out what the problem is so you can avoid the toxin and detox it, not just keep taking the antidote. Like, you don't want to go out and get bit by a snake a bunch of times and just keep taking the anti-venom. That's not any way to live your life. We are here figuring out the root causes. So, and one thing to note, if you haven't seen my sulfur video, my garlic video, is that one thing that B12 does antidote is sulfur compounds and hydrogen sulfide in the system. So let's say you didn't believe me and you thought, well, garlic and onions and cruciferous vegetables and egg whites and MSM, not MMS, but MSM, and glucosamine sulfate and chondroitin sulfate and alpha lipoic acid, which is a sulfur compound, and you're just deciding, you're like, Dr. Smith, I don't think he's right on this. I'm just going to keep taking these sulfur compounds, and I wonder why I have to keep taking these mega doses of B12. I'm telling you, you're sulfur toxic, and you're probably molybdenum deficient. And that's why you're not processing the sulfur right, and you're getting symptoms that are antidoted by B12. Okay. So lysine, let's go back to lysine. So those were just some of the extra things that are often recommended in terms of herpes outbreaks. But the other big thing in terms of diet and supplements is a low arginine diet and supplementing lysine, either eating more lysine in foods, which is harder to do than most people realize. So they might do a high lysine diet, low arginine diet, and then they probably will supplement lysine on top of that. So somehow lysine is an antagonist in a way of arginine. If you guys don't know, for those of you out there, especially guys or ladies who are taking nitric oxide boosting supplements, whether it's your pre-workout, whether it's your guys, especially your boner herbs, your boner supplements, the Viagra, Cialis, horny goatweed, all these things that boost nitric oxide, these may help your, how do we want to put this? Your peripheral function, right? They may help blood vessels open up, this can help, heart stuff. This could help your exercise performance. This could help your erectile performance. However, the research shows that chronically, and what I mean by this is repeatedly, over and over, like daily, stimulating nitric oxide production is bad for your liver. So you are kind of robbing Peter to pay Paul. So if you're more interested in your function short term than in your longevity and health long term, you could do this. But don't be surprised when problems arise. I think the Viagra and Cialis like fad right now of doctors doing this, it's like, oh, it's so good for your heart and da da da. And guys on Twitter are like, you'll have better pumps and all. I'm just like, this is going to be the next statins. It is going to be an absolute disaster. Same thing with this semaglutide and tirzepatide. Absolute disasters in the making. People keep thinking the pharma cartel is going to save them. And I'm like, just give it time. Just give it time. You'll get kicked in the ass with another lesson in the future. The pharma cartel makes poisons. If you take the poisons, you're going to get poisoned. This is not difficult. The pharma cartel sells us poisons that cause effects. We can call them side effects, but just think of it as the effect that a drug causes in you is the most common side effect of that drug. It is a side effect of the drug. They consider it the treatment indication, right? But it's the most common side effect of that poison. So if you take a blood pressure med to lower your blood pressure, the most common side effect of that blood pressure med is to lower blood pressure. That's a side effect of it. But that's what you quote unquote want and your doctor wants. That's what you're paying for. What like semaglutide and tirzepatide are doing to make you feel full is they're slowing down your gut processing. The food is slowing down, moving through your intestines. And it's actually, some of it is actually rotting in there. But you feel full because it doesn't move through your stomach. So it triggers your satiety stuff longer. So anyway, don't do these things. So with lysine, I don't know that I haven't, okay, I'll put it this way. I have not bought in to lysine supplementation as being necessary or desirable yet. Maybe I will research it more soon. I don't know. But if somebody was, let's say, chronically getting herpes type related symptoms, I'm not going to say infections, but if they were getting herpes related symptoms chronically, then we would most likely look at their diet, say, what are the highest arginine? Are you supplementing any arginine things? Are you supplementing any nitric oxide boosting things? Stop. Then we would potentially look at their diet and say, are you eating any of these typically considered high arginine foods? Okay, if you are, let's take those out or substitute them for something that has less arginine in it. Like if, I don't know, if somebody was eating a nut that had a lot of arginine in it. Okay, well, let's find a different nut that doesn't have as much. Okay, and then supplementing some lysine when things pop up, then we do that. Now, because they do recommend lysine and vitamin C together a lot for herpes shingles outbreaks. Could lysine be slowing down ALDH? I think I've looked this up before. Let me just do a quick search. Lysine, aldehyde, dehydrogenase. Oh, I shut down the share. Sorry, let me fix that, Joe. Okay. This is kind of weird. ALDH7A. This is the AI summary. Sometimes I just look at this just to see if there's something that it makes it easier to go and find the other things. ALDH7A1 is involved in lysine catabolism. So lysine is broken down by an ALDH. Now, if you remember the other patterns, things that are broken down by ALDHs over time tend to slow down ALDH. lysine is recommended for herpes outbreaks. What if whatever is in the bile related to herpes outbreaks is slowed down or changed by lysine? So, yeah, that would be. So it'd be kind of, and so that's why vitamin C and lysine could be combined. Isn't that what a lot of people do when they get a cold, right? They just combine a bunch of things that slow ALDH, vitamin C, polyphenols from olive leaf, polyphenols from elderberry, polyphenols from oil of oregano. They just throw polyphenol after polyphenol at it, and then they throw other antioxidants at it, which slow ALDH, and then they shut down bile production, and then they go, oh, I felt so much better in such a short time, just like the meningitis person just did when we hit it hard enough with high-dose vitamin C. So, yeah, I think that's all on that one, Joe. Let me get back to where we. Let me do the super chats now. Now we're going to the super chats. So that's Mikey. That's the lysine stuff I got for you. Jenna Hendrickson. Let me find the question she had. I know sometimes it seems to be hard for to get the Joe, was there a post from Jennifer that I missed? Jenna Hendrickson. There it is. Okay. Oh, yeah. I work outside. Thank you for the super chat, Jenna. I work outside at the airport at Phoenix, Arizona, exposed to toxins, fumes, and extreme heat. How do I mitigate some of these? Oh, man. Okay. Well, this is a tough thing. I would be, how do you mitigate some of these? I mean, the more charcoal you have flowing through your system on a regular basis, the more of this you're going to soak up. Your body's going to take a lot of those toxins that you're breathing in. I don't know if you're touching things or soaking it up through the skin somehow too. The extreme. Well, let's just hit these one at a time. The extreme heat. You just gotta, stay hydrated. You may want to do more. I'm assuming you're already doing some electrolytes. Probably more potassium would be helpful, possibly, than you might be doing. But yeah, you're getting enough sodium. You're getting enough potassium. You may want to put a little bit of magnesium in there too, to help just move things along. And then if you're going to put in charcoal, so if like you were sipping on, let's say, if you figured out how much charcoal you could take and how much of these electrolytes you felt best on, you have probably several water bottles, because I know I am familiar with Phoenix, and I can't even imagine how hot it is out on the tarmac in the summertime. My goodness. But people like yourself do this often thankless work so that we all can, do what we do. So thank you for doing that job. But yeah, it would be electrolytes. Maybe if you decide you want to do the lemon juice to have kind of like some flavor in it, that would be potentially helpful. But just like the juice of a lemon a day or two, maybe if you're working outside. So there'd be charcoal, lemon juice, electrolytes, at least sodium and potassium, if not some magnesium. Probably want to do some topical magnesium, because you're going to be sweating out magnesium like all day. But yeah, sipping on the charcoal on a regular basis would keep it going through your guts on a regular basis. So whatever bile you are dumping would be soaked up, hopefully as much as possible. Whatever you're able to do to breathe less of the fumes, I don't know what's available to you. I know in a really hot area, it's going to be rough, like wearing a mask, some sort of breathing mask, not the coof mask, but even, whatever you can do to get away from the fumes as often as possible would be best. I don't know if oxidizers, like we talked about in the Love Your Liver program, some of them I've mentioned today, you might want to see if some of those help to break down more of the toxins as they're coming in your system and getting into your bloodstream. That would be something there. And then we just make sure you're getting your minerals to run your detox, the typical ones we talk about. You know, we already talked about sodium and potassium and magnesium, but the other ones would be like zinc and selenium and molybdenum. Those would be the big ones. Yeah. So the toxins and fumes, that's I mean, the fumes are going to come in. Like our lungs are made to absorb things for better or worse. So is our skin. But our lungs, you know, you don't have to touch things, but you do have to breathe. So the fumes would just be getting away from it as much as possible. The toxins would be exposing your skin as little as possible, whether that's gloves or clothing or whatever you can do, or getting promoted so you can make other people do it. I mean, it's a terrible thing to think about, but you know, we are all, nature is survival. So if the job has to be done and you know that you don't want to do it or somebody else could do it, then you can, you know, move away from the job. I mean, like night shift work. Night shift work is not good for anybody. People have to do it, but everybody knows that like night shift work ends at some point because it pretty much ruins people's health. So I don't know. Otherwise, you could get training to do a different job. So maybe you're off the tarmac. You're not going to really. This is going to be one of the difficult things, Jenna. You are at your job, and this is just a statement. At your job, you are intoxing all day long. Whenever you're out on the tarmac, or probably even inside the buildings, because they're so close to it. It is very difficult to detox while you are intoxing. So, you know, the thing you could do, hopefully the charcoal and minimizing your exposure to toxins and getting the enough fluids so that you're sweating it out. Niacin would probably be good. Niacin, flesh niacin, nicotinic acid, not niacinamide, but flesh niacin would probably be good. You could potentially even put it in your drink for the day. You could make the, you could do potassium bicarb, sodium bicarb, magnesium carbonate, the buffers, and then figure them out. And so you could make kind of like an electrolyte niacin drink for the day. And yes, you could still put your charcoal in there. And yes, you could still put like the lemon juice in there. And that would really help you to have enough fluids to sweat. The niacin helps run your detox enzymes so they keep running, because these toxins would be depleting your NAD, which is what flesh niacin helps make. And yeah, I would if you start doing some of these things and you feel like they're making you worse, the reality here is that your intoxing is gonna be there. Intoxing too much while you try to detox can make you feel worse. So you have to watch the things you add. Are they helping you feel better, or are they making you feel worse? And if they're making you feel worse, you might need them. But if you take them at the same time as you're intoxing, you may feel worse because you're stirring up all this toxicity that's already there. It's coming into you and it's already in you. So yeah, it's a tough situation. Being in kind of a toxic work environment is really tough. So you just got to observe what helps you feel better, and then hopefully you're able to work on moving to another position that would be less toxic. I don't have a lot. Like we cannot undo, like I tell people, supplements cannot undo the damage that drugs do. Drugs are very powerful. Drugs are much more powerful than supplements. So we can't undo that. So like whatever toxins you're being exposed to,
we can try to mitigate it and maybe minimize the damage. But like I said, if you push too hard, you kind of stir it all up more, and then you could feel worse. So you have to introduce these things slowly and watch how you feel with each one. And then you can just stack them on top of each other for the ones that work, and the ones that make you feel worse, either do less, or maybe your system can't handle them while you're in the middle of all the intoxin. So that's about the best I got on that. I wish there was easier answers. Okay, so next one. Xander, Natto is not good. What's good for heart health? Well, so let me see if I can find it. Hold on one second. Kelsey, what's the bacillus that's the Natto? Bacillus what?
Bacillus subtilis.
Subtilis, yeah. Okay, sorry. I had to get the type of bacillus from Kelsey. Let me go to PubMed. So Natto, okay, so the bacteria, what I'm going to find here, okay. There we go. Okay, Joe. So, okay, Natto, first of all, so we're not really trying, I mean, okay, so cultured or fermented soybeans. If you want to eat them, first of all, we don't recommend anything soy in general, especially unfermented or uncultured, however you want to call it. Definitely, we do not eat any non-organic soy, no matter what. We try to minimize and totally avoid that. Okay, if somebody was going to eat soy, first of all, it better be organic, because otherwise it's just genetically modified to crazy extents and full of toxins. Okay, so we have that. Do we really recommend doing that? No. Actually, the isoflavones, the genistein and daidzein, D-A-I-D-Z-E-I-N, those are polyphenols. They are also known as phytoestrogens or isoflavones. So they have all sorts of names. Those are well known in the research to slow ALDH. Okay, so compounds in soy are well known. That's what they were bragging about soy doing. Not only is it a phytoestrogen, but it slows ALDH. You could look it up. So soy is not really going to be a great product for what we're doing now. If you culture or ferment soy, non-GMO organic soy would be the only acceptable one. If you did that, in theory, the culturing or fermenting destroys most, if not all, of the isoflavones, the phytoestrogens, the polyphenols, those specific ones. So that's why that's the only type that we would use. Now, people need to understand that when the Japanese eat these cultured soy products, they don't eat a lot. They're not eating bowls of it. They're eating it like a little side dish. They don't eat bowls and bowls of kimchi. They don't eat bowls and bowls of natto. They don't eat bowls and bowls of these things. It's like a little thing on the plate. So one of the mistakes that Americans make is we think more is better. And so then we start eating tons of these things. When you don't need to do that. You don't need to drink a quart of kefir. You don't need to eat a tub of yogurt. And if you get bloaty and you get symptoms from it, maybe it's because, like they say, one spoonful of yogurt or a tablespoon of kefir has, or a spoonful of sauerkraut or kimchi has like 20 pills worth of probiotics in it. Well, how could you get negative symptoms from a supplement? Take too much of it. Do you think 20 probiotic pills could be too much? Yeah. Okay. So the reality of natto first is, so you take these soybeans and you culture it with this bacteria, And it just so happens that one thing that nobody talks about, well, first of all, two things that Natto makes. Nattokinase, right? And MK7, which is a very specific form of K2. In the research, both MK7 and nattokinase are PGP inhibitors, P-glycoprotein inhibitors. They slow down cellular detox. Okay? This is in the research. You can look up nattokinase, PGP, P-GP, or you can look up, what's the other thing I'm thinking? Oh, MK7 or menaquinone-7 and PGP, or P-glycoprotein. So you can look these up. I'm not making that up. I'm working on vitamin K. Do not email Julie about this. Let me say it again. Do not email Julie about this. I'm working on a vitamin K liquid and a vitamin K pill right now, but I will only, I'm in my product, I'm only going to be using MK4 and some K1. Okay? But so what Joe has up on the screen here is, so why does, when you put the Natto, the Bacillus subtilis on the soybeans, and then it kind of tastes, it doesn't taste good. Kind of tastes sort of rotten. I didn't like it. And then it's got all these weird strands in it. Well, when you start looking here and you type in, so I just did subtilis and sewage. So they're doing Bacillus subtilis as a sewage treatment, right? Here we describe a Bacillus subtilis bacteriophage isolated from sewage water. Bacillus subtilis reduces antibiotic resistance genes of animal sludge. Here present two, they're doing isolated from raw sewage and infecting Bacillus species. Bacillus subtilis is a sewage bacteria, which is why you take soybeans and you process them with this bacteria, and it starts to resemble more like sewage soybeans. Okay? So you can go and look through these things. There's what, 99 results. And I could probably do a better search than this. Removal of ammonium from ammonium-rich sewage using the immobilized Bacillus subtilis bioreactor system. So they're using Bacillus subtilis to process sewage. Well, what does that mean Bacillus subtilis is designed to live in? Okay. A physical approach to inhibit bacteria settlement and biofilm formation by Bacillus subtilis. So the Natto bacteria is making biofilms. And here's the funny thing. Almost all the supplement companies, almost all of them are using MK7, which is a PGP inhibitor. And everybody's like, MK7's better, MK7's better. And I go, not in my experience. We did use MK7 for a while. And I'm moving towards not using it at all anymore. I'm, if you still have it out there and you want to finish using it, I'm fine with that, especially if you've been noticing benefits. But we are moving towards MK4.
About half of probiotics have subtilis in it.
Oh, Kelsey was saying that about half of the probiotics out there have Bacillus subtilis in it now. So if there was some sort of grander plan to slow our detox, that might be part of it. Yeah. So what do we do for heart health? Okay, so let's just talk about that. So you were asking about Natto. What do we do for heart health? Well, what does the heart thrive on? It thrives on not being toxic. As I've shown before, there's the aortic valve calcification study where they give more and more vitamin A to these animals, live animals, and they see the aortic valve calcify. Well, we don't want that, so vitamin A would not be good for that. I think I've shown copper connected to heart disease too, so we don't want a bunch of that. And then we could show that magnesium is critical for heart health, and potassium is critical for heart health, and not being calcified is critical for heart health, which can be helped with magnesium, potentially citrate, whether that's lemon juice, whether that's using the right kind of magnesium citrate, which is the type when you mix it in water, it fizzes, not magnesium citrate already pre-made in a powder. If you don't understand what I mean Calm by Natural Vitality is one example of its magnesium carbonate and citric, non-GMO citric acid. They're a powder mixed together. You put them in water, it fizzes. That's the only kind of magnesium citrate I'm talking about. I'm not talking about magnesium citrate powder already made. I'm not talking about magnesium citrate pills. You can use those to help you poop, but they don't work for decalcifying, for chelating copper, all that stuff. So citrates can be very helpful for decalcification. This is in the research. You can use citrates to help with, they actually do chelate copper. Potassium citrate can be used, magnesium citrate in that form I'm talking about. There are other ones out there, but if you're talking about magnesium citrate, you want the ingredients, you want it to be a powder. You want the ingredients list to say magnesium carbonate, non-GMO citric acid. You want 2 ingredients, not just magnesium citrate. Okay? Excuse me. Let me get a drink of water. Okay, so, well, we help heart health. I forgot who it was that asked the question. Yeah, Xander, we help heart health by fixing the toxicities and the deficiencies that are linked to heart health. Also, if you wanted to think about calcification of the arteries or what they call arterial plaque, the 2 biggest things in arterial plaque, calcium and cholesterol, right? Calcium, we help people decalcify. This is what we do. In terms of cholesterol is a thing that your body makes particularly to bind to toxins. LDL cholesterol, the bad cholesterol, has vitamin A in it. It's weird. Your body makes all these things to bind to vitamin A to protect you from. And then vitamin A caused aortic valve calcification in that one paper. So, or was it mitral? It was aortic valve. Yeah. So these things are all connected. So we decalcify, we give the proper minerals, we avoid the toxins that are the root of the problem, and then things get better. So like I said, nobody has a Natto deficiency. Natto would be a crutch or a Band-Aid. Oh, and then there's also coagulation problems with heart disease. So vitamin K deficiency can be a part of that. And we can usually tell by symptoms whether vitamin K is necessary. And if you watch on my channel, I have a whole video showing the research of how vitamin A depletes vitamin K. So vitamin A causes calcification. Vitamin A depletes vitamin K. So we see, is that the whole connection between vitamin K and calcification? Is it through the vitamin A mechanism? I don't know. So that's what we do. We just have a different approach. We don't look for specific supplements to take to treat a condition. We're looking to fix the whole system. And yeah, if somebody had heart problems, might I have them put topical magnesium like on their chest and on their back over their heart? Sure, we can tweak things to try to get the issue quicker, but the whole concepts and principles stays the same. So that's that. Elijah's asking, and this is a serious question, and I appreciate the question, Elijah. Should I consider having my prosthetic testicle removed from 20 years ago? Testicle cancer from 20 years ago and still okay, but haven't had a checkup since. LOL. Well, okay. So we're going to get, I'm glad you're LOLing already. We're going to get into the nitty gritty of this. Okay. The prosthetic testicle, right, it's not like, okay, so when you get teeth removed, right, oftentimes the dentists want to put something back in that slot where the tooth is gone so that your other teeth don't kind of collapse around it, right, and then mess up your bite and your jaw. Okay, with testicles, we don't have necessarily, there's not a requirement to fill in that gap. You know what I mean? We don't have to, it'd be just like if a woman got a mastectomy, she doesn't have to get a breast implant, or she doesn't have to wear a bra. That makes it look like she didn't have that done. It's just, it is what it is. Like, people may choose to do it so they look normal, quote unquote normal. And I mean that in the nicest way. And I appreciate what they're doing. So you don't have to have it in there unless it's for aesthetic purposes. It's not for functional purposes. It's not doing anything other than taking up space and appearing a certain way to you and to other people and to the mirror and whatever. So generally, my rule is foreign things implanted in the body are problems waiting to happen or are already problems. So the fewer things you have implanted in your system, the better off you're going to be. Somebody go tell Elon Musk this. He's brain chipping us for our benefit. So I had a woman come in to me who she had elbow pain, and she tells me all about her surgery in her elbow. And she had a screw in her elbow where you could see the actual the end of the screw, like you could make it out through her skin. And I was like, wow, that was intense. Just, because as a naturopathic doctor, I don't run into these things a lot. And I said, it's possible that you might not feel better until you get that out. And she went and got it out, and all her pain went away. So people get their root canals out, and then health conditions go away. You technically will not know what health issues this foreign object implanted in you is causing until it's gone. Like mercury fillings. They're poisoning people every day with mercury. They're self-poisoning with mercury. I'm not, my dad did them for part of his medical practice, for part of his dental practice, and then he stopped. And he would only do the ceramic or porcelain, however you want to call it, fillings. But yeah, so I mean, I don't blame people for getting them done. Dentists should do a lot better. They should learn a lot more about toxicity because they really mess people up. Dentistry is probably like one of the most toxic areas of medicine. But I would, okay. Simple answer, Elijah. If it were me, and if I could handle, if I felt like I could emotionally handle the appearance of only looking like I had one testicle, I would get the prosthetic one taken out. That's what I would do. So whatever you decide to do, best of luck with it. And I know sensitive areas like this are a hard decision sometimes. But if you're, let's say you're in a stable relationship and, your partner says, I don't really care what that looks like down there. It should be a pretty simple surgery because it's just right through the skin, and then just extract it and then stitch it up. Not necessarily a fun place to recover from, but yeah. Okay, so Emma said, man, I'm so excited to add some damn lemons to my life. I miss those guys. Yeah, I really don't think, I think lemons are a very special fruit. And the juice of a lemon, maybe even 2 a day. I think it adds more than it takes away. So, and if you like drinking your water better with it in there, then great. So, okay, and then Dylan added, potassium helps my heart issues more than anything else. Yeah, so there's just the electrolytes. Another thing about that for you, Xander. Okay. Well, now Xander's going deep on the next one. Have you heard the theory that we are all connected to the cloud through wireless body area networks, and it is impossible to detox it out of us? I'm assuming you're saying vitamin C for this as a question mark. Hold on one second. Okay, so we may have seen, maybe some of you guys have done that, where you look up online, like the app you can get where you can check, all the Wi-Fi potential devices around you for like Bluetooth devices. And if you're in areas where there's not a lot of poked people, there's not a lot of Bluetooth signals, and then you go around where there's a lot of people and you see lots of kind of unidentified Bluetooth signals. So, and this specifically, people started noting this after the jab started. Do I think this is possible? Sure, why not? I don't know how much stuff they'd have to put in somebody to put in a Bluetooth signal. Doesn't seem plausible though. Sure, why not? So those people are probably connected. If somebody does that Bluetooth thing around me, they're not going to see any signal. If they do it around my kids, they're not going to see any signal. Because I've tested this. So we're getting into questions of, are we in the quote unquote matrix? I don't know. None of this stuff actually changes what I do. So I tend not to, I tend to do things like avoiding the jabs. If somebody got the jab and they have this signal, the way to know if you have a signal would be to get one of these Bluetooth apps. Let's say you got the jab and you want to see if this is actually true, would be to read the signals when you're in a bunch of places where there's not a lot of other people around, but within your Bluetooth radius, and see if the same signal keeps popping up. And that would be you, or that would be your loved one, or whatever. Can we detox this? I don't know, but I do know that the people who are recommending all these spike protein detoxes and nicotine and quercetin and vitamin D. Okay, quercetin inhibits ALDH. Vitamin D inhibits ALDH. Like zinc doesn't inhibit ALDH, but they use the wrong form of zinc. They use zinc sulfate. A lot of times sulfur inhibits ALDH. So the people pushing all these wellness approaches and FLCs, they are inhibiting your ALDH. And then they say, oh, we see less of these things in the blood, supposedly. The whole nanobot thing about like the nicotine water, the tobacco water, and the nanobots, that's a bunch of horse shit. That's people just making stuff up. So Kelsey and I both don't believe that there was tons of technology in these shots. There may have been something for the Bluetooth. But the people making the jabs and the people who want less of us, they also tend to be sort of stingy people, frugal people. And they don't want to spend a bunch of money on us. Like, if you don't know, mRNA is horribly, horribly expensive. Kelsey used to work with it. It's terribly expensive. Like, each shot would have probably been $1,000 worth of expense with the mRNA in it. And now they're finding that there's a bunch of toxic metals in the jabs, especially the earliest jabs. Toxic metals are cheap, right? They can get those practically for free. So the people who are trying to poison us are going to do it cheaply because they are cheap people. Retinoic acid, the amount that they might have put in the jabs, is cheap. Toxic metals, the amount they might have put in the jabs, is cheap. I don't believe that there are self-assembling nanobot things and all of the spike protein. I don't believe in the spike protein nonsense at all. So just remember, they can lie to you through studies. They can just make up research and submit it to a journal. And the journal that just basically decides, do we trust this or not? They don't go in and like investigate the study to make sure that it's legit. They just have people read it and go, this seems like it's legit enough. And then they publish it. So, and if there's, let's say, a narrative and they're funding researchers to come up with certain results, the researchers, if they want to have a job, especially if they have a nice job, and they're paid handsomely to come up with the results and write the studies that they need to show what they want to say to the public, then they're going to do that. So don't, even with the stuff that's coming out right now, the supposed awakening stuff, realize that that's part of the show. They're now going to uncover it all and make everybody swing sides and get very angry at the other side. It's all part of the plan. They are playing society like a fiddle. So if you don't realize that everything coming out on both sides, if it's big on either side, it's meant to be seen. They want you to see it. They are showing you what they want you to see. Okay. But are we all connected? I don't know. I don't know. If we are, I don't know how to detox it. Do I think vitamin C would do it? No. Do I think that the way for us to become less connected to it would be to take less of the poisons that they're putting out? Yeah. I actually had this weird theory the other day. I was thinking about the airport scanners. And I thought, this is just a thought I had. I thought, what if the airport scanners were a way and that they could monitor how much tech we had in us, of their tech? So what if, let's say there was tech in the shots, and let's say there was tech in the various other things that we take in our bodies. What if those scanners, like the TSA workers, wouldn't see this, right? They don't need to show the TSA, they need to show these TSA workers anything. They just show them the little picture. But what if this could monitor how much tech we have in each person, so they know who's going through the scanner, and they can scan you and see how much tech you have? I don't know. It's just an idea. So, and then they could identify you by your little Bluetooth ID coming out of you. So they can just keep track of you in that process. I don't know if it's true. It was just something I thought of. And I had to teach my kids how to opt out this weekend. They're really being, the TSA guys, both of them were kind of like buttheads about, you can skip the facial recognition, and make them look at your ID and look at your face. And then you can opt out of the millimeter wave scanner. So we did both. I had to teach my kids how to do that because my kids flew back to Arizona by themselves. So let's see. Emma said, I got shingles when I got way too much full sun. Suddenly, 3 days in a row. It was immediate. Don't quote me, but I think shingles outbreak means your defenses are down lower than they should be. Emma, excuse me. 3 days of sun would cause a lot of bile dumping. Lots of bile dumping, bile leakage, gets into your bloodstream, comes out through your skin. You call it shingles. It's an agitator. So yes, absolutely. Too much sun, too much heat, too much sweating are known to be agitators. If you get too much of them, they can cause aggravations. They can increase the bile dumping, the detox. Sun is an oxidizer. Heat is an oxidizer. So that tends to increase your rate of bile dumping, and then that can be the trigger. So you don't want to think of your immune system so much as a defense system. It's not like an army. It's more like a cleanup crew. And so what would overwhelm a cleanup crew? Too much garbage showing up all of a sudden. So, but can your body compensate? Yes, but only to a point. So that's what I would say about that. And Joe was saying vitamin C is water soluble, right? Easier to get out of the body. Yes. It seems to go out pretty quickly. I mean, right? You take too much vitamin C, and within an hour you're on the toilet. So yeah, it seems to go through pretty quick. Yeah, so we did Jenna's question. Good. I'm just going down through here again. Okay, Zendog says, if more activated charcoal to slow diarrhea and it gets worse, what are the odds we need to reduce the dose of activated charcoal instead of increasing activated charcoal to 3 cups a day? Where does high-dose vitamin C plus high-dose charcoal get us? Okay. Well, so it would depend on the person, right? So if you have so we talked about those two different types of people, right? Most people, activated charcoal slows stuff down. If Baptized in Fire was taking cups of charcoal a day, he's probably not one of those people. So he may be one of those people who is dumping more with the high dose charcoal. So then combining the charcoal, which is there to soak it up. I mean, some people, okay, let me just back up a second. So Baptized in Fire, I'm going to assume your gender. I'm assuming you're a guy. You posted pictures. I'm assuming you are a male. Okay, by birth. So, men make more bile than women do. So we're already at a higher bile dumping tendency, pattern. Some people, their conditions, like especially if people tended to have conditions that were diarrhea in nature or have diarrhea connected to them, that is very often a person who is dumping a lot of bile. And a lot of it's going into the intestines, which is why they poop so fast and they poop loose, because the bile is just going right through them. It's irritating their guts. Their guts say, we don't want this anymore. Get it out of here as quickly as possible. Okay? So Baptized in Fire is a guy. He may have had, I don't remember, but he may have had conditions that lean towards diarrhea. So then he may just be like a very high amount of bile dumper. Enough of it's going in the intestines and staying in the intestines that he is having loose bowels. But it's also causing him symptoms. Like some of it's leaking into his system, causing systemic symptoms other places. So he's got both going on. Okay, so the activated charcoal, it would make sense that if he's dumping lots of bile already, he could tolerate a lot of charcoal because he's got enough bile to soak up. Now, if he's also one of these people where charcoal may induce a certain amount of bile dumping for him, then this could explain why the activated charcoal by itself was not working, because he's kind of like 2 steps forward, 1 step back. Okay, so then we throw in the high dose vitamin C to slow down bile dumping even further, so that then whatever the activated charcoal is triggering the dump, the vitamin C is also contributing to slowing that down. This is why we don't have protocols for this stuff, because it just the individual responses, we have the patterns, but we also have to know, as the saying goes, anything can cause anything. And like, so activated charcoal in some people soaks up all their bile, they can't poop. Activated charcoal in other people makes them dump more bile or helps them poop. So this is where we have to kind of look at the patterns of, like, the pooping can help. Like if you tend to have diarrhea, you have a lot of toxic bile in your intestines. So the first thing we do generally is charcoal. And if that doesn't work, I have people tell me, they're like, I take charcoal, I feel terrible. And it's like, okay, then don't take charcoal. So then we have to do other things. But yeah, I think that's where Zendog, I think that's where we're going with this in his situation. In his situation, from what I've gathered on the network and on the live streams, his situation is fairly atypical, uncommon. So that's why he's having to be so aggressive with these things. So that's that. Okay. Let's see. Okay, Brand. Wait, we got. Oh, let me make sure I haven't missed any here. Okay, so there's Zendogs. Tao Lin says, my cat Nini used to eat dairy/liver. Since stopping 6 months ago, his eczema has healed, but he still falls down with uncontrollable spasms sometimes when touched in certain areas. Any advice on spasms? Is this a Tao? I'm assuming this was around before. Like, this is not. You're saying he still falls down, so I'm assuming this was going on beforehand as well. Is that correct? Hold on, let me see. Okay, so he says yes. He said the cat started having the spasms like a year before stopping the dairy and liver. Okay. And you guys, Baptized in Fire, and Zen Dog, you guys don't go head to head too much in the comments. Just realize that different people are different, and that we're just trying to look at patterns to try to figure out what is the best approach for each person. I just take some charcoal in my flush, and that's about all the charcoal I take. So eczema's healed. He still falls down with uncontrollable spasms sometimes when touched in certain areas. Any advice on spasms? I mean, one of the things you can do, Tao, to kind of accelerate this is if you can put any charcoal in the food. I know you mentioned, I think you said the cat is on the Love Your Liver program. So I think that's what you were saying. Let me just answer this question. Is there a Space Weather app? Never Surrender says it's Space Weather Live, all one word, all typed together. Space Weather Live app. It's free. If you really wanted to get a user-friendly Space Weather app, that would be what used to be good, Suspicious Observers. I don't know what their app is called, but the Suspicious Observers app, I think it's like it used to be $3 a month or something like that. I quit using it when they started charging for it. I think at first they charged $5 a year. And I was like, okay, I'll pay that. I like it enough. And then all of a sudden it went up to like $3 a month. And I was like, I can do Space Weather Live instead of this. No, Joe, I haven't been looking at your messages. Joe, the two websites for the charcoal stuff is charcoaltimes.com and charcoalremedies.com. Okay. So, oh yeah, we need to, so no more super chats, please. I gotta get to the inner circle. So the spasms, I mean, generally with spasms, we tend to, the things that we would tend to look at with spasms, I mean, yes, there could be the charcoal could help. So if you can put a little charcoal in the food and not constipate the kitty too much, that would be good. A lot of animals actually do really well with the 3-letter compound that shall not be named. But what you do, so since cats and dogs have very high stomach acid, for those of you who are familiar with this 3-letter compound, sometimes known as the universal antidote, if you use part 1 in water, when the animal drinks it, the stomach acid is part 2. So they take the part 1 in through their water. And don't put it in a metal bowl. Put it in, get a glass bowl for this, a Pyrex bowl or whatever you want to do, just a glass bowl. So you'd put in the drops of part 1. They would drink it. It doesn't taste like much of anything. And then it would activate itself when it reacts with the stomach acid in the animal's stomach. And then you create the 3-letter remedy that shall not be named. So that is something you can very easily do for animals to kind of increase their detox rate. I do know if you're going to do that antidote that you will need more potassium. You will need more potassium generally. So there's that. And then if you just wanted to figure out, with cats, obviously, with carnivores, they're generally not going to get a lot of potassium. Or you could even look into a little bit of B1 as an antidote to help this go away faster. Good old thiamine HCl is all I'd use. But you could look into some B1 or some potassium, because those may not be real high in an all-meat diet. And if you're trying to get these spasms to go away faster, a little bit more of them might help sooner than later, because a lot of the toxins deplete potassium and a lot of the aldehydes. Oh, and you might also, so sorry, I wasn't thinking of this. Tao, you may add some taurine. You may add some taurine to the cat's food. Let me go look and see if there's any connection between. Wait. What just happened? Let's do. Oh, I turned off my share, didn't I? I'll have to fix that. Let me fix my share. Okay. So, Joe, if you want to show this, that's fine. So I just did a quick search, taurine feline spasm PubMed, and this is not necessarily felines, but cats are, okay, so the Pottinger cat study, where they fed the cats cooked food versus raw food. Okay, when they cooked the cat's food, whatever they were doing to cook it, they completely destroyed the taurine. That's all that study showed, is that if you cook cat's food, you destroy the taurine, and cats have a very specific need for taurine. So in all cat food that's sold today that is pre-cooked, they add taurine back to it. Okay? You cannot feed cats a cooked food diet without adding taurine. So if any of you are out there doing love your liver-ish stuff with your cats, I mean, first of all, cats can eat raw meat. For goodness sake. So can dogs. You do not have to brown the ground beef before you feed your dog or your cat. Just give it to them raw. Okay? But so we have here this paper, Taurine, the appeal of a safe amino acid for skeletal muscle disorders. And let's go look at this one. High dietary taurine effects on feline tissue taurine concentrations. So this might be something. So what does taurine do? Well, if you haven't seen here, let's just show the aldehyde connection. Taurine, retinaldehyde, PubMed. So right here, what is one of the biggest things that happens to cats who don't get enough taurine? They get eye problems. So what if I were to tell you that taurine binds to vitamin A, retinaldehyde, vitamin A aldehyde? Taurine binds to retinaldehyde in the eye and protects you from it. It protects the cats from it. So when the cats did not get enough taurine because it was cooked out of their food, the first thing they get is eye problems. And what depletes? Well, vitamin A detox, it's just you need your zinc, you need your taurine, you need all this stuff. And a lot of the cooked food diets, especially if they're high in vitamin A, which they would put in processed, well, that would be Tao. You were saying dairy, vitamin A, liver, vitamin A, especially if you were feeding, let's say, cooked liver, which you may not have known any better. But, I mean, cooking liver does oxidize some of the vitamin A down the path, but they're still eating it. They may be eating worse forms that are now oxidized. And then we've got, the spasms. So let's just look at these other papers. The appeal of a safe amino acid for skeletal muscle disorders. Let's just see if there's anything. Spasm. Such a protection may again result from multiple taurine actions, i.e. an antihypertensive effect via vasodilatation by reducing adrenergic and angiotensin II actions, as well as calcium-induced vasospasm, along with a reduced risk of cardiac arrhythmias via modulation of ion channels and ionic homeostasis. What does vitamin A affect? Potassium channels. What does Wi-Fi affect? calcium channels. So vitamin A affects potassium channels. EMF affects calcium channels. So anyway, this is potential that if you were feeding them cooked food, or if they just needed some more, if they were getting a lot of vitamin A, the taurine, the extra taurine may help bind to some of those aldehydes that might be part of the spasms. And then also, if you can get more magnesium in them, magnesium tends to relax muscles. Potassium tends to help calm things down. So I would, let me see if there's any, there was one other spasm here. Okay. Well, this is just, they're connecting this to spasms. So yeah. So taurine would definitely be an option. Don't cook the food. Get them on less vitamin A, potassium, magnesium as you're able to get them. And then if you want to try the part 1 of the universal antidote in their water, make sure it's a glass container, and go from there. Did I not share my screen? Oh my gosh, I'm sorry. Joe's like sending me all sorts of messages. I'm zoned out. So here's the paper. Joe, you can show it now. Taurine, the appeal of a safe amino acid for skeletal muscle disorders. And then just go back and listen to what I said. What else was here? Let's see. Here's another one. High dietary taurine effects on feline tissue, taurine concentrations and reproductive performance. We're not necessarily after reproductive performance here. No adverse effects of high taurine diets were noted in the adults or offspring. Now, let me just tell you, folks, if you decide to go out and try taurine yourself, it seems that taurine in some people can really stir up copper toxicity. So just be aware, not everybody feels great on taurine, but cats seem to need it, especially in their system. So hope that helps, Tao. Let me go and look at the... You're welcome. Yeah, Joe's even saying screen share in the chat. That's how like not paying attention I was. Oh, the seminar. Oh, so you guys, let me find that. I forgot to mention that. If you guys want more information about the hair testing and blood testing seminar that I am putting on at the start of November, the page for it is up. Joe, if you want to put that link up, let me see if I can remember what it is. It is, there it is. The website should be up at the top. But if there's a video there, you can read it. You can email Julie if you want the full PDF of information. It's 2.5 days long. You will be learning how to analyze hair and blood tests as I do for my own clients, as I taught Kelsey and Hope and Nathan how to do. And it does cost something. Yeah, 2.5 day seminar. I don't know, folks. These things have never been free. For those of you who are not in the health field, seminars do cost something. So that's that. So yeah, Joe's scrolling through it. November 1st, 2nd, and 3rd, I did start it later in the day on November 1st. So if you guys are Halloween party animals, you have a little bit of time to recover beforehand. There will be recordings. They will be made available. But yeah, if you want to ask live questions or post questions as we go, the seminar does include, you got to be there live or you got to post the questions. We have some people who are like in Hong Kong who want to do it. They're obviously not going to watch it live because it's while they're asleep, but they're going to send me questions for the next day so that I can go over those. So if you want to post live questions as I'm going through it, you got to be in the live seminar. And then if you want to, for people who are in the seminar, there's going to be 12 months after one purchases the seminar, 12 months of private small group. We're going to go over tests. This is so, because you're not going to learn everything. You're not going to grok everything the first weekend. So every month there will be a session I don't know how long it's going to be. It's probably going to be pretty long because we all know I talk, where I'm going to go over hair tests. So people are going to bring in their hair tests, their clients, their friends, their family, their own, and we're going to go over the stuff that we learned from the seminar, and we're going to go through it. I'm going to be trying to teach the person. They're going to tell me what they think they should do and what the client's situation is, and then we'll go over what I think they should do or what they've already tried and what they might try in the future. So you're not just, again, just like I do with my clients, we don't abandon them after the consult. We give them 6 months of support because we don't expect everybody to know how to do it right away. Well, with this seminar, we're giving 12 once a month for 12 months after somebody purchases the seminar, access to this. This will be a special group. This is not the inner circle. It's going to be a different group inside the network, but there will be that. Now, this is very, very important about the seminar. If you are not, first of all, if you're not a Love Your Liver program member, you cannot register. Julie will be checking on everybody. So if you are not a member of the Love Your Liver program, you don't get to do this. This seminar is not baby steps taking newbies to the Love Your Liver program through through the hours and weeks worth of information in the Love Your Liver program. That's not what this is. This is higher level stuff. So if you want to get something out of this, obviously, to understand the Love Your Liver program, you have to be a member of the Love Your Liver program. And then I want you to be familiar with the Love Your Liver program. So you're not like, what I'm not going to have, folks, is I'm not going to have people at this seminar going, what do you mean bile dumping? Or like, what is ALDH? What does it do? Like, we're not doing those questions. This is not baby steps. You don't have to be like repeating this stuff ad nauseum from memory from the Love Your Liver program, but you need to understand the basics of this should you choose to take it. It is open to practitioners and lay people because I think people should be able to get their own medical tests and analyze them on their own. I don't think people should have to have medical licenses just to look at their own labs and analyze them. We will be making it able so people can order their own labs in the future. Let's say you're trained in this and you want to order your own labs, then you can do it all on your own. And if you can't get the labs on your own and you want to get them through us, then that's what we're going to offer. So that is, okay, so somebody asked, how about doctors who are unfamiliar with the Love Your Liver program? No. This is definitely not for beginners. If you know nothing about, like if somebody came and I'm like, they're like, what is toxic bile theory? I'd be like, just go home. I'm going to refund your money. We're not doing that. If somebody wanted to buy the seminar and not ask questions, so they're not wasting everybody's time with baby step questions, and then they wanted to familiarize themselves with the Love Your Liver program later, and then they had access to the stuff, they could do that. But this is college level stuff. If you want to put it on a level like that, this is not grade school stuff. We're not going back to grade school. We are saying there's a prerequisite. Those of you who want to catch up quick, let's say you're interested and you're new to this stuff, you better go through the whole Love Your Liver program quick, and you probably want to binge watch the live streams so that you can understand what we're talking about. Because I am not, okay, I'll put it to you this way. When I taught Nathan and Hope and Kelsey this, Nathan went through my seminar twice. When I went through this with them, it took me 2.5 days worth of time, and Hope and Kelsey and Nathan were all very familiar with the program. Like Nathan was already practicing this with people. Hope was like the most helpful person on the Love Your Liver program with giving people advice. And Kelsey grokked this stuff super fast. And then she wrote the articles on niacin for the program. So Kelsey contributed to the program. These people, it still took me 2.5 days. So we are not going through like, why do we not eat foods that are certain colors? I'm not doing that. Okay? This is serious. Like, I'd rather have, honestly, if everybody was like, I don't know if I can take this, I'd rather have no people coming who aren't prepared, or, I'd rather have no people come if nobody's prepared than a bunch of people come and pay who are not prepared and don't get much out of it because they're not at the level where they can understand it. If you feel like you don't know enough, but you want to come and you can understand what, kind of like baby questions are versus like asking questions about the hair testing and the blood testing and how it fits into toxic bile theory and how we're going to get people better with it, that's fine. I may have to shut down some questions and say, we don't have time to go over that right now. Because as you all know, here on the live streams, I talk a lot. And so if I am distracted with questions that are not moving it in the right direction and I have a limited amount of time to do this, I can't do that. It's too easy to distract me and get me talking too much on other topics. So I have to control that. Okay. But yeah, just email Julie. Julie will send you the PDF about stuff about the seminar. It's going to be fun. Yeah, Kelsey and Hope and Nathan, they all really enjoyed it. Nathan, it was the second time he took it. He said, I really distilled it down from the first time I did it with him. We have simplified these things so that it's still like, if you guys understand what I do, my work is never just like, oh, your zinc level is this. That means you do this. If X, then Y. It's never that easy. But you can know what to do. If this, then this. If that, then this. I teach as much of that as I can. And then as you get more advanced and we start going over stuff in the monthly seminar circle, then we can get more into details. And as you see things with yourself on your tests or your friends or family or clients, you'll start to see the patterns of like, well, I tried this and it didn't work. And then you go, okay, well, try this instead then. And then you start gaining patterns and knowledge and all that stuff as you go. So, okay. I'm just so snotty because of all this. So let's see. Saku D said, what are the symptoms on toxicity? Oh my gosh. Copper toxicity. I'm going to be rewriting and publishing the zinc and selenium articles in the Love Your Liver program very soon. I will have the copper toxicity symptoms listed in those articles. I think there's about up to 13 typical ones. People can have many of them or only one of them, but taurine just, if you take taurine and you don't feel good from it, you notice it. Like those of you out there who have taken taurine and you didn't feel good on it, you know it. And most people who tell me that they know what their copper toxicity or copper detox symptoms are, they say it stirs up copper because that's the exact symptoms they get. So, Saku D says, I require taurine every day. Actually, Saku, I'm not. Okay, I'm making a little assumption here. Saku, to me, looks Asian. So I want you guys to put this together. This is the science that we do here. I'm not assuming, I mean, you may not be Asian, but I see Saku and I go, that looks Asian. And you're saying you require taurine every day. Okay. 50% of the Asian population has slow ALDH. Slow ALDH means you tend to build up aldehydes. You remember now how I just showed you that taurine binds to aldehydes and is protective against the damage they cause? This may be why you require taurine every day. It's because you may genetically have slow ALDH. You build up aldehydes. Taurine for you binds to those aldehydes and helps you feel better. So that may be part of that. Thiamine, B1, binds to aldehydes. probably binds to different aldehydes than taurine does. So this is why some people feel better on taurine, some people feel better on B1. They're both antidotes. What we would want to do, Saku, if you were working in the program or working with me or a practitioner, is we're going to do things that are we're going to stop putting aldehydes in your system as much as we can. We're going to give you the things that you need to run ALDH, like, selenium, molybdenum, nicotinic acid, flush niacin, same thing. And that's how we get the ALDH that you do have running better. But you might still require taurine. If you, for the rest of your life, if you were just like, I feel better when I take a certain amount of taurine every day and I don't feel good when I don't take it, then that's fine. You do that. That's what you need. So, but yeah, as you go along in the program, we often find that people don't need as much of the Band-Aids or the antidotes, or they can even get rid of them as they go. So, okay, so Tao says his fur and skin and everything else besides his spasms have improved greatly on Love Your Liver. Yeah, that seems to me like it might be a reason to try taurine. Yeah, so. Okay. Oh, Brandon, yeah, last super chat, right, Joe? This is the last one. Brandon's a very regular super chatter. Since adding dairy back for weight gain purposes, he means, all the stiffness from avoiding it for 100 days plus started to come back. Started oral magnesium with a meal and stiffness is all gone again. Mineral balance per meal equals 10-fold improvement. Okay. Brandon, I'm going to assume that that was not a frustrated sound with Brandon at all. But the weight gain thing, yeah, Brandon and I kind of talked about this, I think, a week or two ago. And Brandon's trying to gain weight. Dairy is very good at weight gain. Raw dairy too. So lots of calcium, lots of vitamin A, lots of vitamin D. The things I talk about with dairy, folks, just because you eat raw dairy doesn't mean this goes away. And I'm going to assume that Brandon did raw dairy because that's the kind of person that he is. Or at least most of it was probably raw. That's my assumption. So he had gotten rid of a lot of stiffness. He adds it back in. All the stiffness started to come back. I'm assuming Brandon, did you take it out and then add the magnesium and then the stiffness went away? Or did you leave the dairy in and then add magnesium on top of it? I'm just waiting for Brandon's answer. Brandon, you still there? Maybe he's still typing. I'll wait like 20 more seconds. Okay, let me just hit this one question. Daku X Hunter or Son Goku said, yesterday I bought potassium cyanide to end my life because I got too sick. Now after taking Accutane previously, I was an athlete. Now I can't walk myself. Okay. Well, I got to be careful with words I use in this topic, as we all know, because they are highly censored. Accutane has, okay, so in the Love Your Liver program, there is the homeopathic detox therapy section. Now, homeopathic detox therapy is very specifically using the homeopathic preparation. Oh, that reminds me. Did you take yours? Got to keep track of all the people around me. Go take your homeopathic detox therapy. Okay. If there is a medication in your history, in your life, or even a toxin, like I've had people tell me that their life was never the same after they smoked some like crazy weed, or after they took LSD, or after they worked in a mechanic shop and they got super toxic that way. So if you know the general toxin, pharma cartel or otherwise, that messed up your life, that you could say your health and your whatever was never the same after you were exposed to that medication, after that toxin, after whatever. And you can put your finger on it, like Accutane for many, many people. This is the best indicator for homeopathic detox therapy that there is. Homeopathic detox therapy has all the instructions in the Love Your Liver program. I know to get the first 3 remedies, there's actually 3 remedies you get the very first time. Camphor, and then the Polybowel Plus, and then one of the homeopathic detox, the medication that you're working on or whatever you're working on. It is less than $200. This could be, if that's all you did, I don't know how to say your name, Daku Hunter, that may be something very helpful for you. I would definitely get on a low vitamin A diet. I would definitely work on some zinc and some flesh niacin, some nicotinic acid. Those would be the things. If I was in this situation, trying to start minimally, I mean, if you get in the Love Your Liver program, then you'll have all the diet stuff. You'd have access to the homeopathic detox therapy where you could read about how to do it. And your remedy would be, the first remedy that you do in the first round would be Accutane. And then I would make sure you're getting enough protein. I would make sure you're getting enough zinc. I would make sure you're getting the flesh niacin that you tolerate. I would start slow on all these things. And then I think we could help you. We've helped lots of people, lots of Accutane survivors or Accutane victims, however you want to put it. But you're definitely in the right place where you have the best chance, in my opinion, of anywhere else to heal yourself from this. So, okay. Okay, so Brendan Schrader says he's Brandon's client. He believes he is taking the magnesium along with the milk consumption. Okay, so, okay. So we got that. Well, I see that Daku is in India. Oh, man. Okay. I'm gonna make this simple. When I've had Indian clients in general, and these are patterns, folks. There's nothing untoward about any of this. When I've had real difficulty with Indian clients who have taken Accutane in getting them better. Why is this? In my opinion, well, in India, they don't exactly eat a lot of red meat. So if you're not eating red meat, there's not enough zinc. You notice how I just said zinc, first of all. Okay, so there's not a lot of zinc. There's not any taurine coming in, because taurine is only found in muscle meats. There's possibly not enough protein overall. And then if somebody needs more niacin, NAD for detox, then that's probably not happening much in the diet. And then there's all the toxic spices and herbs that are used in typical Indian cooking. So what I'm saying, if somebody wants to relay this to him, if he can't do the things that we're talking about, the biggest thing, I don't know how he's going to do it. If he can do lamb or goat or some sort of red meat. Doesn't have to be cow. Obviously, cow is probably not an option. But if he can do some sort of red meat, like I say, goat or lamb or mutton or whatever, and get that, and then figure out some source of zinc, supplemental if possible, or is just as much of the red meat that he tolerates as possible. And then don't cook the meat. Like, cook the meat as little as possible so that you're getting as much taurine out of that meat to help. And I think, like, an example about taurine, beef compared to chicken, there's like 10 times less taurine in chicken than there is in beef. So you start to see when people start avoiding, or they're, for whatever reason, if they don't eat red meat, if they need more zinc, or they need more taurine, or they need B12, they're not going to get it from chicken anywhere near like they do with red meat. So goat is actually the most popular red meat in the world. If you didn't know, it's not cattle, it's goat. So yeah, if you can't eat beef, get some other form of red meat. And that would be the easiest starting place. So food would be figure out some sort of red meat that he can eat, and then stop with the spices and the herbs. White rice with salt, meat with salt. Like, simplify. I believe there are distinct reasons why I have such difficulty with Indian clients, is because of the nature of the diet that they eat. So those would be the starting points. And then more potassium foods, not potassium cyanide, but potassium foods, whether that's coconut water, whether that's bananas, whether that's whatever you can get, higher potassium foods that are not high in vitamin A. Potassium helps mood more than just about anything else. So if you can do more bananas or more coconut water, that would be a great start. That would be a huge shift in the right direction. Joe's asking, so we can eat raw hamburger beef if you trust it. Most hamburger that's sold in stores is going to be a mixture of multiple cows. And there's a reason why they suggest you cook hamburger meat all the way through, is because you never know what else got mixed in there. Fecal matter or whatever. I try to not overcook my ground beef, but I still cook it. I used to eat raw lamb, no problem. And if I'm in a place I trust, my steaks are cooked medium rare, but if I was someplace where I really trusted, I'd eat it rare. I like it cooked a little bit. It makes it taste better. And I like the warmth. I don't like cold, raw beef. Marsh Fast says maybe Vonderplanitz was onto something. Okay, here's the deal. I'm not advocating, do I think the less you cook, do I think the less a person cooks their meat, the easier it is to digest and the better it is for them? Yes. Do I think we can trust all the meat out there? Absolutely not. Do I think that there are some benefits to cooking meat even a little bit? Possibly. It does make it easier. It does make it's pre-broken down in a certain way. So in a certain way, it's easier to digest. In a certain way, it's harder to digest. Do I think Vonderplanit's ideas of eating rotten meat and raw liver and chugging raw dairy and eating raw eggs and putting spoonfuls and spoonfuls of raw honey into milkshakes made of raw dairy and raw eggs and raw honey is good for health? No, I have seen women absolutely get morbidly obese within months of that diet. Do I think, and I was in a community of Vonderplanit's people in Phoenix. I helped run, I provided the spot for the raw dairy co-op. So if anybody says I don't know the raw primal diet from Vonderplanit's, no. I was eating raw liver. I was doing the milkshakes. People from med school still remember me bringing in raw chicken in a mason jar to eat at lunch. So nobody should even begin to tell me that I don't know what it was all about. Did I give it up? Yeah. Do I realize now that why did I feel better when I gave it up? Probably because I was poisoning myself with vitamin A via the egg yolks, the raw dairy, the excessive raw honey was slowing down my detox because it turns into aldehydes, and honey's got tons of methyl glyoxaldehyde in it, which is not good for you. And then there was the raw liver, if I didn't say that already. The raw meat, like I was eating raw lamb steaks and I felt amazing after that. I did put on some balsamic vinegar and some salt because I'm just not that savage that I'm going to eat lamb without anything on it. So, but I never got food poisoning. I never had any digestive issues. I know another guy who tried to start doing raw chicken, and he was vomiting for several days. So it doesn't work for everybody. But yeah, about the magnesium. Yeah. So I think if Brandon's doing the magnesium with the raw dairy, and for those of you who don't know, Brandon, I'm assuming Brandon was talking about himself, but he's quite underweight, like significantly underweight. So dairy in this situation may be somewhat more acceptable. But what does vitamin D do? Vitamin D raises calcium levels in the blood overall. What does magnesium do? Vitamin D has been shown to decrease magnesium levels. Okay, so he's taking magnesium. He counters the vitamin D in the milk. Okay, vitamin A depletes magnesium. I have a whole video on the YouTube about this. So he's countering what vitamin A is doing. Calcium is an antagonist to magnesium. So he's countering what the calcium is doing. He's actually taking the magnesium with the dairy, and he's countering at least the magnesium depleting effects of the dairy. And he's not as stiff. This just shows what calcium and vitamin A and vitamin D, even in dairy, probably raw dairy is what I'm assuming Brandon's doing. Raw dairy still causes problems. It's still vitamin A, it's still vitamin D, it's still in excess of calcium. So that's what I got. Okay. So that's all. Okay, I got to get to my inner circle now. Hope you all enjoyed it. Remember, if you want to get seminar information, the PDF, email Julie at admin@nutritionrestored.com. If you want to do the seminar, please remember what I said about the prerequisites, which is also mentioned in the landing page and in the PDF. So hopefully you don't miss it. And we'll see you next week. I don't know if I'll have camera or not on next week, but y'all have a great week. Hope I helped you out, and we'll see you next time. Bye now.